White. Wide open, Torrence! Oh, baby! Touchdown! How do you leave the best receiver in the NAIA that wide open?
You show, and that's what we do! Cash!
You're proud of me?
And it's caught! Oh my goodness! Troy Torrence comes down with it!
Welcome all to Bankroll Blitz. Happy Tuesday, November 28th to all of you. Week 13 awaits. We have monster matchups, and I'm coming off a second consecutive losing week, and I'm angry. And want to get right. I have already made 5 bets on this week's card, and it took everything in my power all day not to bet the Falcons. Like everything. To not take them first half money line. Could have got them today minus 125. To not take them full game minus 2.5. Minus 115 or minus 114. It took everything. I managed not to bet the Falcons and not to buy high and sell the Jets low. But I'm telling you, it took it was so hard for me not to do it. But I've moved on other games, and I can't wait to get to work. I just need to get to work with you and the cappers in the chat. Fire away, have confidence, and get back to our winning ways so badly. I just feel the heaviness of not succeeding in NFL, and it's been weighing on me. That's where I'm at. Little tense, Troy. How are you, my man?
I'm a little tense, too. Didn't have a great week myself, man. But, hey, that's why we're here, bro. And it's time to get back right. Let's get it.
Shout out to everybody joining us. We got SJ joining us, Gerald Jones, Mac Beavers, Sky Dragon, Alex Ramirez. We got Doug, Terry Walker, Gerald Jones, Birdie. It is great to see all of you guys. I'm coming off a 4-9 a week, minus 5.79 units. It sucked, man. Started on Thanksgiving, lost Detroit first half in full game. Cash Washington, Dallas over 48.5. And then we went on a monster run live and, went 5-0 in our last 5 live bets. And we're feeling pretty good. Moving on to Friday. I don't know how Miami, New York Jets under 40. There are certain things that happened last week that I still can't comprehend. I'm still like, how did that game go over? I mean, how was there a 99-yard interception return at the end of the first half?
Two interceptions for touchdowns in the last 50 seconds of the first half. Incredible.
I'm still sitting here just like appalled, absolutely appalled that didn't cash, but it didn't. Pittsburgh, Cincinnati over 34.5 was wrong. Thinking that Browning would be okay. Fading a team that was bringing in a new offensive coordinator or had fired Matt Canada was probably the bigger thing, was a mistake. And then to push that mistake even further, I bet live overs that 28.5 and 31.5 and 28.5, I believe it was, or something like that. So that I lost them both. Cleveland, Denver under 35.5. That was just wrong. Buffalo, Philadelphia over 48. That was easy. San Francisco, Seattle over 3.5 field goals. I should have just gone 2.5 at minus 130. There was a missed field goal, but that's, part of it. Atlanta, money line cash. New England, New York Giants under 34 cash very easily. And the Chargers plus 3.5. I mean, that late touchdown cost me $1,000. And a minute 36 left. It's 3rd and 3. Chargers have used the first down. But even if he doesn't slide, the Chargers use 2 timeouts. All we just need, first down, we cash everything. And I mean everything. Like I had a whole bunch there, and Zay Flowers, what's it, like a 36-yard touchdown run or whatever,
42 or something like that.
Whatever it was. But I mean, it was like seeing it just happened so fast. It was like seeing a car accident. Then Jackson over 43.5 rush yards lost, and then Cincinnati plus 2.5 was my last edition right before kickoff, and I lost. So I'm angry. You got off to an excellent start on the week, and then the Browns hurt you badly. Your volume of action is so intense. 22 bets for you. and you were down 3.15 units. And it didn't have to be that way. It was unfortunate that the Browns, and now what to do with the Browns moving forward. And if
And
you
the
think
Browns and the Chargers, like you were saying, I mean, if I catch the Chargers bet, I mean, things, I'm break even at least. There's so many, the under in that Dolphins game, just so many things that teetering, man. The variance, like one day we're going to hit, one of these weeks we'll just hit them all, Jimmy. It's going to happen.
I haven't had that week yet. Last year I had 2 board sweeping weeks of at least 8 games. 2, and I've had 0. I haven't had a big week yet. I've won more weeks than I've lost, but now I'm sitting here with you 72 and 72 down 7.27 units with an ROI minus 5.05%. You're sitting here 114, 115, 49.8%, but your average line is still plus 141. You're plus 17.86 units. Your ROI plus 7.80%. All right, enough lamenting. Let's get to work. I'm excited about doing the work. Thankful to have the opportunity to do it with you guys. Let's get after it right now. Let's go. We start Thursday, November 30th at 8:15 p.m. Eastern. Seattle Seahawks 6-5, 2-3 on the road. The Dallas Cowboys 8-3, 5-0 at home. AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas. We've all heard over and over and over and over again how these primetime games are going under at an alarming rate. And
what are we doing, man? We should just be betting these blindly at this point. We'd be fucking on a beach somewhere.
Well, I'm on the first half over and the full game over in this one. I don't care what's been happening on these standalone games, and I've made money. I'm an under better, so I've been fine with these primetime unders, but not here. I think there's going to be points. I think there's huge issues with the Seahawks' red zone abilities defensively and sort of offensively too. But they're going to have to do work here. They're going to have to score. They can't just sit back because their defense just isn't good enough. Let's go over the line history here in this one. This opened up with the Cowboys. These are all pinnacle lines. Opened up with the Cowboys minus 7.5. Cowboys are minus 9 right now. Minus 9, minus 105. We go over to the total in this one here. We have it sitting at 46, minus 109 to the over. There was initial movement when this line came out on Sunday night. Within 9 minutes, there'd be 9 cents of juice to the over. What I think stopped that from happening is people are making their living betting primetime unders. They're paying their mortgage winning primetime unders. So they don't care. They don't care about the X's and O's. They're just going back to the well. And I think that's what stopped that momentum. All the other books are at 46.5. Pinnacle is still sitting at 46. When we get to the cash flow here, God, I don't have it up right now. I'll have to pull this up here. We'll go over the cash flow in a second. Oh, it's right here. God, sorry. I just football is just I can't stop thinking about football every second of the day right now. And it's just making me crazy. 17% of the tickets and 25% of the cash is on the Seahawks. And from a total perspective, 53% of the tickets and 88% of the cash is on the under. Clear big dollars on the under, sharp money on the under. So both teams coming in off Thanksgiving with very different outcomes. Thanksgiving games. Seahawks coming off their second straight loss, an ugly 31-13 setback at home versus the Niners. They've now lost 3 of 4. They were down 24-3 at the half. I just see their first 5 possessions, they gained 15 total yards. I just see them coming out firing. We saw what the Packers did against the Lions. They came out with that 53-yard pass. They had to send a message to everybody that they were ready to play. And I think that the Seahawks come out firing. Their offense only put up 220 yards. Geno Smith looked bad, 18 and 27 for 180 yards in the pick. The offensive line couldn't protect him. He was sacked 6 times. He's now struggled in back-to-back games against divisional foes. Since Kenneth Walker got hurt early in the loss versus the Rams, Zach Charbonnet has not stepped up. He's rushed for 47 yards in back-to-back games, 29 combined carries. His long run over these last 2 games, 11 yards. So he has to step up. Now, Carroll says that he thinks Walker will be able to play. Of course, we'll get a better idea when tomorrow's injury report comes out. Against the Niners, Metcalf and Lockett combined for 6 catches for 62 yards. That's not enough. They were 3 of 11 on third down. They're 29th in the league on third down, converting 31.3% of time. They had 1 4A into the red zone. They're 25th in the league in red zone offense, scoring TDs 47.2% of the time. They've scored just 3 offensive touchdowns in the past 4 games. They've only scored 1 offensive touchdown in their last 8 quarters. it's not that the Cowboys do a lot of good things defensively, but I think that Seattle is going to have a game plan where they attack to try and flip this script right now. The defense couldn't get stops. 49ers put up 377 yards of offense. They couldn't get the Niners off the field. Niners had the ball for 35 minutes and 30 seconds. The defense dialed up no pressure. They finished with 1 sack. Niners went 5 for 11 on third down. The Seahawks are just 27th in the league, allowing third down conversions 44% of the time. The Niners were 3 of 4 in the red zone. The Seahawks red zone defense has been horrible all season. 29th in the league, allowing touchdowns 66.7% of the time. On the Cowboys side of things, they're coming off their 13th straight home win, their 3rd straight win on the year, 45-10 at home over the Commanders. This is their longest home winning streak in 42 years. They've been dominant since that 28-23 loss at Philadelphia. Now they played the Giants, Panthers, and Commanders. Real weak opposition. They've outscored them 127-37. Dak was excellent against the Commanders, 22-32, 331 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. He's thrown at least 2 touchdown passes in 5 straight games. Brandon Cooks is starting to roll. We had to wait a while for it. 4 catches for 72 yards, touchdown. CeeDee Lamb, 4 for 53. Tony Pollard ran 13 for 79 and touchdown, caught 6 passes for 24 yards. The Cowboys went 6 of 10 on third down. This is moved back too far here. Too many pages of notes. The Cowboys went 6 of 10 on third down. They're second in the league, converting 47.7% of third downs. They were a perfect 3 for 3 in the red zone. They're just 16th in the league in red zone scoring touchdowns, 54.4% of the time, but they're second in the league in red zone offense over the past 3 games against these lightweights. The Cowboys defense been strong all year. Until that Commanders game, they hadn't allowed a 100-yard rusher, 100-yard receiver, and a 300-yard passer. And Howell threw for 300. Curtis Samuel caught 100. The pass rush was all over Howell. 4 sacks, 8 quarterback hits. Deron Bland had his record-breaking 5th pick 6 of the season. They allowed the Commanders to go 7 of 15 on third down. They're the second best third down defense in the league, so that's a rarity. The Commanders were 1 of 2 in the red zone. They've struggled defensively in the red zone. We have the Dallas Cowboys 22nd ranked red zone defense and the Seahawks 29th ranked red zone defense. There are going to be touchdowns in this football game, and the Cowboys are fat and happy. The Cowboys have the Eagles on deck. I don't want the Cowboys as a side, but I think points are going to be scored. And I think the Seahawks can cover this game. I don't know if I have the balls to back them. Take it away here, Troy. Our Thursday nighter, Seahawks Cowboys.
I think the market really is starting to adjust to the Seahawks team and finally starting to become more in line where I had them. And just like looking back at last week, when you got 2 teams with the same record and the road team is laying a touchdown on the road, that's just blew my mind. It's like the books are giving you an answer to the test with that last game. I don't think it's as clear as to spot this, here, but you look at the Seahawks. I mean, just down the list, I've talked about this before, below average quarterback, a bad offensive line that gets destroyed versus top 10 pass rushes. They played the Bengals, Browns, Ravens, and 49ers, all of which are in the top 10 pass rush, and their PFF grade averages out to a 49, which is a failing grade and probably would qualify as the worst in the NFL. I think this defense really couldn't stop a nosebleed, let alone a rushing attack. And I faded this team about 5 weeks in a row at this point. And outside of the Browns, I've been cashing. So there's no reason to stop now. I was surprised to see the line move as aggressively as it has, because I did take the Cowboys in a money line parlay with the Lions. And I took that earlier in the week when this line was at 7.5. And, I was hoping to maybe get a 7 and then lay the points with the Cowboys, because, I think the Cowboys will dominate the line of scrimmage. They'll be able to force some turnovers. Now, there's actually not a lot of history with this market. Sorry, I got something in my eye is bothering the shit out of me. Excuse me. But this market environment, there's not a lot of markets that are like this, especially with the total, which I'm going to do a lot more digging, Jimmy. I think this is very interesting. You see all that sharp action on the total, but the market really hasn't moved. And usually when you see that big of splits with the sharp action on a Tuesday, this line has already moved down a point. Why is it moving down? I think that's actually it kind of reminds me of what game went over recently? The Ravens-Bengals game. Did that go over? I'll do some more digging. I'll probably make a post about the total, because I'm fascinated with this total at this point. But this is one of the total. I didn't just go bet the under, because I kind of see it playing out the way you do, Jimmy. I'm going to see a desperate Seahawks team, a fat and happy Cowboys team, who I think is going to have success moving the ball. But if they can't block for Geno Smith, how is that? What's going to happen? In turn, that we bet an over with the Cowboys before, and the turnover, the pick 6 got us there. I could totally see a turnover going for a touchdown. So if they're dropping back to pass a lot, they're not protecting Geno. More opportunities for defensive touchdowns, and they're going to they'll be playing from behind, in my opinion. So this is all good news for the over.
I agree. I don't need to take the Seahawks. I don't need to get in the side here. I'm going to have a lot invested on the over. So I have the first half over 23, the full game over 46, 88% of cash is on the under. It's not moved. Like
Right.
you said, you nailed it. Like you tightened up my elongated bullshit. But yes, this is a Seahawks team that must attack immediately. They have to. They have to show out. Their offense has to step up. And, I don't know how sharp the Cowboys are going to be, honestly, after playing 3 cupcakes with the Eagles on deck at home.
Right.
Satsi says Cowboys team total 27.5. Doug says lean Hawks +9, but rather stay away from the Cowboys right now. Jared TG says he could only look the Cowboys way. Look, I'm going up again. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, let me just jump in. I mean, I just did one little iteration, right? So you have right now we have over 80%. So this is just one little iteration of the database. 80% plus of the money is on the under, but the market has not moved towards the under. It's hard to find an over trend in the database because all these unders have been hitting like at a ridiculous rate. But we're seeing a 56% spot, 24 and 20 to the over. Like finding any over trend in the database at this point, like I need a 70% trend to be confident in it. So seeing an over trend at 22, 24 and 20 to the over, like to me, that's really strong because you're not finding that.
This is a move I wanted to make badly.
It's like the books are taking a stand, right? The books are taking a stand. Everyone wants the under. Sharps are on the under. People are paying. I mean, you're really piquing my interest here, man.
I'm doubling up. First half over 23, full game over 46. That is our Thursday night. We'll have our Thursday night live stream right here, hosted by Mikey M. Let's move on to Sunday action. It is great to see all of you guys. We give a bunch of you guys a welcome off the hop, but Terry Walker, Cam, Raphael, Sammy, Culmer, Mac, Beavers, Slatsy, Doug, Jared TG, RVD, 420, Spenny, Penny Bombs, Al Cervic, Real Deal Prime. Great to see all of you guys. Thank you for being here. Mikey P. Let's get to work here. And we've got 12 more games to break down. And
Jones,
I like this.
Dallas trends to the over at home.
That was a part of it too. Now that wasn't in the beginning of the year, but their last 3 home games have soared to the over. So Steve Murrin, is nice to see you. So I'm doubling up on the Thursday nighter and attacking it. Let's move on to Sunday. We start at 1 p.m. Eastern. Indianapolis Colts 6-5, 4-1 on the road at Tennessee Titans 4-7, 4-1 at home. We're at Nissan Stadium in Nashville, Tennessee. 60 Fahrenheit. There's a chance of showers. At this point, the showers are supposed to stop right around game time. Of course, it's a ways away. So we'll see what goes on, as we get closer to the spot here. This is a fun game. My Colts season team total over 6.5. They're right there. It's a nice spot to be in with all these games left.
Man, I should have rode that with you. I remember liking that one when you talked about it preseason.
Yeah, it's a nice feeling. I almost had the Texans too, and I only ended up going with the Colts. I wish I had them both, but
I had a buddy talk me off of the Texans because, like, if you go back to the very first stream we did, I was talking the Texans up like, hey, like divisional champs, possibly, like, just long shot, but still, like, I was talking about it. I can't believe I didn't pull any trigger.
Well, getting away from when we stopped liking the Jaguars, it opened up everybody else,
Right.
This total is at 42.5. It opened at -108. It's now at -106. So we've seen no movement on the total. From a point spread scenario here, we are sitting at a -1 on the Colts. -1. The Colts opened up at -2. It's dropped to -1. A move towards Tennessee at home. And I agree with this move. I just wanted to talk it out before I decided to move on this. The ones where I was really confident in, I fired on. The ones where I was like a little patient. And I know that people can are going to get a worse line if they move on the Titans. But from a cash flow standpoint here, you have, and we're going on the money line, 70% of the tickets are on the Titans and just 43% of the cash. Find that a little surprising. On the spread, it's 48 and 58. And on the total here. We have 58% of tickets, 75% cash on the over. Foxy, great to see you. Trans Canada, thank you guys for joining us here on Bankroll Blitz. The Colts come in off their third straight win, 27-20 at home over the Bucs. They put up 394 yards of offense in the victory. This is about as comfortable as Gardner Minshew's looked in his career. He knows he's starting the rest of the season. He's really developing some comfort in the pocket, not panicking. We've seen him panic early in this year. 24-41 for 251 yards, still threw a pick. Michael Pittman Jr. caught 10 for 107, and Jonathan Taylor is really stepping up. And Zach Moss finally had a good game. I know he was second in the league in rushing, but, the transfer of power might have been a little tricky for him because he was excellent, for the first half of the season. Taylor ran 15 times for 91 yards and 2 touchdowns. The trio of Taylor, Moss, and Minshew combined for 155 yards rushing, 3 touchdown runs. And that's against an opponent in the Bucs that had allowed just 4 scoring touchdowns all season. So this is a very dangerous running group. And that's why I haven't moved on it already. But I do think that the Titans at home should be back. Now, the Colts are 4-1 on the road, like the Titans are 4-1 at home, but Colts were just 2 of 11 on third down. They're just 19th in the league, converting 37.7% of third downs. They were 3 of 5 in the red zone, and that's right in line with their season average. They've been very good in the red zone this year. They are 8th in the league, converting 60% of red zone drives. The Colts defense fared okay in their first game since 3-time All-Pro linebacker Shaquille Leonard was waived. He was still at the game, which is wild, in a box. Pass rush put a lot of pressure on Mayfield. They sacked him 6 times, hit him 9 times. Bucs were 5 of 13 on third down. Colts are 15th in the league, allowing opponents to convert 38.4% of those third down opportunities. And they held the Bucs to 1 of 3 in the red zone. They're 17th in the league, allowing touchdowns 52.9% of the time. It's a very pedestrian average defense for the Colts. Ryan Kelly, an important center, still in concussion protocol. And Juju Brent's dealing with the quad injury. Titans coming off a 17-10 home win over the Carolina Panthers. It was my survivor pick. There's 3 left now in 2 of the pools. The one pool, I don't want to know how many are left. I'm in it with someone else, and I just send in the pick. I don't want to know until we've won it. But there's 3 in these 2. Will Levis, 18 of 28 for 185 yards. He was sacked only once behind an offensive line that had 2 rookies. Left tackle Jalen Duncan, his first NFL start. DeAndre Hopkins led receivers with 3 catches, 49 yards. Derrick Henry, 18 carries for 76 yards and 2 touchdowns. But they were just 2 of 11 on third down. We've seen them struggle on third down all year long. They're 28th in the league. They're just 31.8% conversion rate. They were 2 of 2 in the red zone. That's a shock. They're the second worst red zone team in the league. They scored TDs on 38.7% of red zone drives. Now, this is an important stat because they've only played 5 games at home, and at home they're 4th in the league in the red zone, scoring touchdowns 72.7% of red zone drives. So on the road, they're absolutely atrocious, but at home, they're really strong in the red zone, and they're undefeated at Nashville Stadium. Remember, their only home loss was in the UK. And they should be excellent in the red zone. They have Derrick Henry inside, D-Hop outside. The pass rush was strong. They sacked Bryce Young 4 times and added 6 quarterback hits. Held the Panthers to 6 of 16 on third down. They're 20th in the league, allowing opponents to convert 39.7% of opportunities. And the Panthers scored on their lone red zone opportunity. That's no issue for the Titans. They're the 4th best red zone defense in the league. Why don't we bet the Titans money line as soon as the show ends, Troy?
I actually have some Titans that I posted about earlier today. I moved on at +1. I know I took it money line. I seen it at +2. I wanted it last night. And that's the thing, man. Sometimes you wait a little bit too long because I would have loved to tease that too as well. The more time I spend with this game, the more I like the Titans. I might have to increase my position. But this is the divisional matchup that I like to watch. I mean, some people won't like to watch this game. I fucking love this game. And the first thing I used to think of when I look at the Titans is to think Vrabel, run defense, King Henry. But now that's shifted big time because after what they did last week and just every single time they do play at home, they show out 4-0 ATS at home. And like you said, I think it's huge. The home road dichotomy in the red zone. I have some notes on some future games. I didn't notice this one. This is a great call out, Jimmy, with the the Titans red zone performance at home. It's just at first it was, one of my notes here is it's hard to get to the window with this Titans team. But if I see Rashad White able to average 7 yards per carry versus Colts defense, I know the Titans are going to be able to have success. And, so just getting through some of the database, some of the numbers from SDQL, home dogs between +1 and +2.5 in division games, 25-9 ATS, 21-12 straight up. The database absolutely hates the Titans if this gets to +2.5. So if you see a Titans +2.5, run. Don't walk, run. Do not bet it. I just want to trust Vrabel, the home field advantage, and I want to take advantage of this bad Colts defense. It's just like this Titans team is so stale. They got a little bit of complacency. You definitely can't lay any type of significant points with this team because they get complacent, and it's hard to trust them on third down. But at the same time, it's just a spot that I'm willing to bet on, and it kind of reminds me of. I know the spread was different, the market was different, but it just reminds me of a similar spot to what we've seen in the Jaguars when they played the Jaguars on the road and they got absolutely stomped. I'm not saying they're going to get stomped, but I think the Titans pull this one out. Titans money line.
This is okay. So I'm going to jump on. I'm going to bet this after the show, but why is at this point? Why would the total be? They're right. They're talking about how high this total is in the chat. Why would it have opened at 42.5, and then when it went up to 43.5, now it's come back down? But how is this? It's way too high, isn't it?
This is what we actually bet a similar total in the Ravens. It was the home road dichotomy. It doesn't apply here. But when they played in London against the Ravens, it was I think, did it go from 42.5 to 43.5, or was it 41.5 to 42.5? It doesn't matter. In this range, when this total ticks up, and what's the cash flow look like? Cash flow's on the over. I just really I like the under in this game too. I mean, I was just kind of playing. I haven't gone through every single total at this point. That's usually where because I like to see the market develop more, because I don't trust my instincts with where the line movement's going to go on totals that I do with sides. But
and
I just
4 hours ago they came out and said Jonathan Taylor is out for 3 weeks. 4 hours ago, I missed this.
That's why I tick back down to the 42. But spreads that close at Pinnacle at +1 past 2 seasons, 12-1 to the under. And if you narrow that down to when it's a spread of less than a field goal, bro, it is like way under. It's not even close. 30 points in 4 out of the 5 examples. And
Taylor's out for at least 2 weeks for the thumb injury. I thought he was going to be fine this morning. I thought it was a thumb. Yeah, he'd hurt his thumb, but he was going to be able to play. Yeah. He needs surgery to correct it. He will undergo surgery tomorrow in Los Angeles. The Titans and the under need to be bet immediately. Okay.
I'm going to be betting the under as well.
Yes, so am I. Titans and the under. Okay. Birdie, know that he says he has the value on the under, has this graded at 40 for what it's worth. It's worth a lot. All right, great stuff. Great stuff from the chat. Great stuff, because this was the first game of my son. So this was capped at 8 this morning, 7:30 this morning. At that point, I thought he was good. Important
That's
stuff.
Another thing, Jimmy, Birdie. Yeah. I want to mention something. So I have a model built for sides. I had tried to build the total. I was just getting way too overwhelmed. I feel like I couldn't get it right. So maybe that'd be great if I could sit down with somebody and learn how to model a total, because I can't get it to work the right way. But I do trust the market environment and being able to read that, but still at the same time, would love to learn.
That's what this is all about, us getting better and better and better year after year after year. Let's move on to the next spot on the board. 1 p.m. Eastern. Los Angeles Chargers 4-7, 2-3 on the road at New England Patriots 2-9, 1-5 at home at Gillette Stadium. Foxborough, Massachusetts, 45 Fahrenheit, cloudy, 6 miles per hour. It was just complete. Look, I know the Patriots are a bad football team, but their performance against the Giants completely shocked me. I'd beaten myself up all week for not taking the 3. What was it at game time? I mean, I saw 5s at one point, but there were 4.5s for sure. Just a shockingly horrific display by the Patriots. And I don't know if I'll ever get over the look. I mean, $1,000. I've lost $1,000 many times. It's not the amount of money, but just the shock of it all. It was such a shocking situation. Where I was like, I kind of wanted him to get through the line of scrimmage, but then not get stopped on the way to a touchdown was just appalling. Let's go over the line history here for this one. Chargers, Patriots. Get over to the spread. Start there. For the spread, we have the Chargers right now at Pinnacle sitting at -6 at even money. The slight move. We've seen 6 cents of movement towards the Patriots. It's opened up at the pick'em. Right now, the Patriots +6 is at -112. From a total side of things, Pinnacle's moved this to 39.5. There are 40s, and there's even some 40.5s out there as well. But this is at 39.5. Now, that's where it opened at Pinnacle, though. There's been no movement at this point. So let's get into the cash flow then for this one. Chargers, Patriots. We have on the total, we have no cash information at action right now. We just know that 95% of the tickets are on the under. No information other than that. From a spread, we have 79% of tickets and 67% of cash on the under. Now, I moved on the under. I got 40.5. I saw that it was at 39.5 at Pinnacle, and it's 40.5 at Bet365. It's still there right now, 40.5. I know that I've got a recency bias from these two teams, but where are the points coming from? I mean, who's going to get to 20 points? I just don't see. I don't know. And if it's, obviously you'd say, well, if the Chargers are going to get 20 points. Well, even if the Chargers get to 20 points, how does the under 40.5 not hit? Chargers coming up their third straight loss, 2010 setback at home to the Ravens, held to 279 total yards. Herbert, 29 of 44 for 217 yards, touchdown pick. Also led the Chargers rushing with 47 yards on 4 carries. The running backs could do nothing on the ground. Eckler, Kelly, Darius Davis combined for 15 carries and 39 yards. All 3 stars of the Chargers offense, Justin Herbert, Austin Eckler, and Keenan Allen, all lost fumbles. They came into the game tied for a league low, only 8 giveaways all season long. Their 4 turnovers were the most they've had, since a week 3 2020 loss. Keenan Allen had a strong game despite the turnover, 14 catches for 106 yards. They were 7 of 15 on third down. They've been strong on third down all year, 8 converting 43.5% of third down opportunities. And they've been really good in the red zone all year. They were just 1 of 3, though, against the Ravens. But they're 4th in the league, 63.9% of red zone drives. They score touchdowns. Defensively, they were excellent, I thought, until that breakdown with third and 3 with a minute 36 left, that 37-yard run by Zay Flowers. With Joey Bosa out of the lineup, Khalil Mack is the only one to focus on the pass rush. He had the Chargers only 2 sacks. It makes it pretty easy if there's only one guy you need to be worried about. Now you can say Sebastian Day, is possible to worry about him, but the Chargers held the Ravens to just 4 of 13 on third down. The Chargers are 6th in the league, allowing third down conversion just 35.2% of the time. Held the Ravens to 1 of 2 in the red zone. They're 14th in the league in red zone defense. Quentin Johnston is an issue with his ribs. He's listed as questionable. He left the game, didn't return. Patriots hit a new low, 4 straight loss, 10-7 setback at the Giants. It was just a pitiful offensive performance. Mac Jones, 12-21 for 89 yards, 2 picks before he was pulled at halftime. Bailey Zappi started the second half, 9 of 14, 54 yards in the pick. I mean, it's just horrific what they've done. Demario Douglas led receivers with 6 catches for 49 yards. And we've said this same old story, but he left the game with a concussion. So he's now in protocol. Will he be available to play? Do you need to force anybody back when you're 2-9? Now, he probably likes being the WR1 to showcase his talents, but Ramondre Stevenson ran 21 times for 98 yards and touchdown. They were 4-14 on third down. On the season, they're 27th in the league, converting third downs 33.6% of the time. They're 17th in the league in red zone offense. Now, remember, if you guys remember, 6 weeks ago, we were talking about the Patriots, and I was saying, look at their red zone numbers. They're so good in the red zone, both offensively and defensively. I mean, that has to be coaching because this team's not very good. Well, over their last 3 games, they're now last in the league in red zone offense. 28.6% of their red zone drives they're cashing. So they've fallen. They were in the top 5, right? They're now 17th, but that doesn't tell the whole story because they're the worst red zone team in the league over the last 3 games. The defense did their best to keep it in it. They held the Giants to 10 first downs, 220 total yards, held the Giants to 4 of 13 on third down. They're 17th in the league on third down defense. They sacked Tommy DeVito 6 times, held the Giants to 1 of 2 in the red zone. And their defensive red zone has been strong all year. And that's impressive. I mean, with their personnel, losing Judon, losing Christian Gonzalez, they're still 7th in the league, allowing opponents to score just 45.7% of the time. I'm on the under 40.5. I had to do it. Maybe this is just too simple, but who's going to score in this football game? I don't see it. What do you think here, Troy?
Man, we're on the same page today. I tweeted out, that was one of the first plays I tweeted out, under Chargers Patriots. I got the 40.5 as well. And I promised everybody here I wouldn't be back in the Patriots team anymore after they got blown out earlier in the season. I think it was the Saints. that put me in my place with this team. And sure enough, I feel like Judas for going back on my word, man, because I felt every ounce of pain that entire game watching that Patriots-Giants game. Where are these points going to come from? Like you said, the Patriots have the worst quarterback play in the league. The numbers, the advanced metrics, any way you want to slice it, that suggests it. My eyes suggest it. And they had a passing grade this past week against the Giants of 22.9. That was their combined passer grade. And their pass block had a grade of 87. They were protecting these guys. They were not under pressure at all. And they couldn't deliver the ball. Now, it was raining a little bit. But come on, man, there's no excuse for what we see there. And every time they do get into the red zone, they just throw a stupid fucking pick. It's the same story, man. I don't know. Can you blame Belichick anymore? Because it's just uncalled for, some of the plays that their quarterback is making. And the defense did their job, like you said. And the Chargers, another team I've been backing, I've been watching, I've been following very closely. This defense is uptrending. I feel like they're continuously uptrending. Yeah, I just don't see where the points are coming from. I took under 40.5. Totals that open at Pinnacle at 39.5 or 10-4 to the under. Doesn't matter which way it moves. It's under all the way in this spot. So that's where I'm at.
I agree. I agree completely. I just I don't usually do this here, but I feel like I have to get this action in on the Titans and the under here with this surgery. It's going to change. Like I've just been in situations like this where it just changes before the show ends. So let me just get this E4 and 28 here for me very quickly. Do you want to just touch on the side here? I'll just need 30 seconds.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, there's only one way I'm playing the side, and that's with the Chargers. Laying 6 on the road. Who are they to deserve to lay 6 on the road? That we know that they play close games. But when one team can't score, I could trust the Chargers to put up 2 field goals to at least push this spread. Like, you can't trust this Patriots team, especially at home. They grade out worse. All their metrics are worse. There's one-way ticket. It's Chargers ticket or it's nothing.
And I don't even want them.
No.
Now, maybe that's just because of what they did. And they didn't play that bad. They didn't play that bad. I mean, the Ravens are a good team. All right, I'm in. I got.
How about that guy, Kyle Hamilton, man? Woo-wee. That guy is real good. That guy is really good, man. Watching him play is a treat, and I was on the other side. Watching him was awesome. Kid's amazing.
And Sky Dragon says fade Herbert back to Chargers defense. The under is. I can't comprehend it. I mean, if we're here on Sunday and this is a 40, I'll be like, okay, I guess I'm wrong. I'm ready to lose this. But we're going to show up on Sunday. This is going to be a 38.
So there's 14 examples of a total opening at 39.5 at Pinnacle that moved over 1 and 5 to the under. So 5 and 1 to the under. This is the range, 40.5. If it lands on 40.5, 41.5, I'll bet it again.
Well, I'm locked in. I doubled up on I got 43. Sammy got 43. Now I got under 43 in Titans, Colts, and I got the
Where'd
Titans
you get 43?
I got 43 at Bet365 right now, and I got the plus 100. Okay, let's roll on. Now, I come out guns a-blazing on this show, and it's going to end. It's going to end after this game. All my action. So now it'll be 7 bets, and I can't wait to talk about the Falcons spot because it really took a lot of self-control not to bet that. But look, I've doubled up here on the Detroit Lions. I've doubled up on them. First half and full game. And look, I disliked everything that I saw from the Detroit Lions. And I also think that the Bears are a decent football team. They're not a trash football team. I moved on the Lions. The New Orleans Saints are at that point where they're starting to question everything. They're questioning decision-making. They're at the point where the coaches are fighting each other. I think that it's possible that things self-destruct here in New Orleans. And, Okay, well, let's here. Let me just go a little deeper here before I need to sit here and just wax on it. But I moved first half and full game, and it was kind of costly. I could have got minus 122 if I put in a Pinnacle, but I just sent it in at minus 125. So that's the minus first half minus 2.5 at minus 125. What the hell is it there? And then I got the full game minus 4 at minus 110. Let's go over the line history here for this one. From a side perspective here, Detroit still minus 4 at minus 109 here. They opened up minus 3.5, and that 3.5 when it opened, it was almost a plus money. It was minus 101 for the lines. Now it's minus 4. Honestly, how I feel right now is, look, my bankroll is what it is. My cash is what it is, but the show for me is sort of on the line this week. I've had 2 straight losing weeks. My ROI is minus 5%. If I don't step up, then who's going to want to hear any of my edges or angles or what I think of a situation? So there's a lot on the line, and I'm going to go. If I'm going to go down, I'm going to go down fucking firing. And I think the Lions bounce back, and I think Campbell is very upset with some of his decision making. At least he's been blaming himself for what happened. This total is at 46. Opened up at 45, went up to 46, and I almost moved on the total. I came very close to moving on the total. In fact, that was my plan. When I came into this cap, my plan was to bet the over. That was my plan, and I was like, and then by the end of it, I flipped just to the Lions side. The Lions come in off an ugly 29-22 Thanksgiving Day loss at home to the Packers. Goff 29-44, 332 yards, 2 touchdowns. But old toddler hands, lost 3 fumbles and it devastated everything. In the Detroit's previous game, Goff threw 3 picks. So Goff has 6 turnovers on his own here in the last 2 games. They outgained the Packers 464 to 377. Amon-Ra St. Brown had 9 catches for 95 yards. Khalif had 5 for 90. Montgomery ran 15 times for 71 yards and a touchdown. They were 7 of 15 on third down. They're 11th in the league on third down, converting 42.8% of opportunities. And they continue to climb in that statistic. They're getting better and better there. They were 3 of 4 in the red zone. They're 14th in the league, scoring touchdowns on 55.3% of red zone drives. And over the last 3 games, they're 3rd in the league in the red zone. They're converting 72.7% of red zone drives over the last 3 games. The fumbleitis and all the issues for Goff has not been happening in the red zone. Now, it's been happening on 4th down, though. The Lions went for it 5 times on 4th down and converted once. And that was in the meaningless spot late. One of the failed attempts was that fake punt. And to me, that's, I don't care about analytics as much at sometimes as I care about momentum. And the Lions had the momentum. They were down 9 points. They were stuck on their 1. They got out to the 23, and they were going to be able to kick it deep and have all the momentum. Defense runs on the field, pumped up. We get the ball back. We get field position. We make this a 1-score game. That was all on Campbell. Campbell messed that up. That was an asshole decision by Campbell, and he knows it. And, he's called himself out for it. But the Lions' pass rush was nowhere to be found. 0 sacks, 4 quarterback hits. Now, they have 2 sacks over their last 3 games. So I imagine Campbell's going to be all over them for that. The Packers went 5 for 11 on third down. Lions are 11th in third down defense, allowing opponents to convert 36.2% of their opportunities. The Packers went 3 of 4 in the red zone. The Lions defense has struggled all year in the red zone. They're 30th in the league in the red zone. 30th in the league. They're allowing touchdowns 68.6% of the time. And over the last 3 games, the Lions are tied with the Bills for the worst red zone defense in the league. So here with the Lions, and this is why I was going to the over first, you have a red zone offense that's playing very, very well, and a red zone defense that's tied for worst in the league. Obviously, that would lead us to want to bet an over. Saints coming off an ugly 24-15 loss at the Falcons, 444 total yards, but they went 0 for 5 in the red zone. They're 29th in the league in the red zone. You can't trust them to put up points. Derek Carr, 24-38 for 304 yards. Olave caught 7 passes for 114 yards, but he's in concussion protocol. So what if Olave is not out there? Because we know Michael Thomas isn't out there. Then Rashid Shaheed left with a quad injury. He's listed as day-to-day. So what? You're going to go into this game without your 3 top receivers possibly? Now, maybe Shaheed does play The quad's tricky. Maybe Olave gets out of concussion protocol. Maybe. Saints were 6 of 14 on third down. They're 21st in the league, converting 37% of third downs. The defense is incapable of applying any pressure. The Cameron Jordan no-show continues, game in and game out. And then he left the game with a shin injury. He's listed as questionable. They finished with no sacks and one quarterback hit. They're tied for second last in the NFL, averaging 1.6 sacks per game. They were 4 of 8 on third down. The Falcons, 4 of 8 third down. The Saints defense, 8th in the league, allowing opponents to convert 35.6% of red zone opportunities. And they're 19th in the league in red zone defense. Marshawn Lattimore, of course, on IR. But when it came down to it, can I trust the Saints to do anything here? No, I don't know if I can. So why don't I just hammer the Lions, who have to bounce back after getting publicly embarrassed and losing on Thanksgiving for the 7th straight time? So that's my move. I moved on the Lions, but I do kind of like the over. And maybe if Olave and Shaheed clear concussion protocol, I'll move on it. Maybe. What do you think here, Troy?
Yeah, again, we're aligning in this spot as well. My faith in the Lions is kind of dwindling to a certain extent because they're so bad in coverage, and I can visibly see that they're bad in coverage. They're not sharp, man. They're not fundamentally sound defensively, but at the same time, let me touch on the Lions. One more thing about the Lions that pissed me off is their offensive line. It's 2 weeks in a row this offensive line has underperformed, and it's against the Bears and Packers. So I guess in division, it's a little bit more understandable, the familiarity factor. And Goff has definitely been struggling because of it and is under pressure, just like most quarterbacks. Numbers fall off. And when he's so good with a clean pocket, then it's a steeper fall, which makes it more apparent to me. But his pass grade falls off a cliff, 4 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. That's the thing is, like you said, the Saints defense is incapable of applying pressure. And this defense is overrated. The numbers show that they've been better at home, but this strength of schedule that they've played is pitiful. They've allowed 24 points to Atlanta, 27 to Minnesota, 17 to Chicago, and 27 to the Colts. All those offenses are not even close to the capabilities of this Lions offense. And the biggest thing to me, just like you hammered home, the red zone offense is not there for Derek Carr. I don't even want to say the Saints because Derek Carr has proven throughout his career he cannot get it done in the red zone. It remains to be seen him being any type of efficient or the quarterback that he should be in the red zone. He's way below average, this guy. And like you said, they're going to be missing some of their pieces. It's just a good spot for the Lions to get back on track. Lions are going to put up 7. Saints are going to put up 3s. And you don't have to be a math genius to understand what the outcome of that game is going to be. Saints are 0-4 ATS at home. And I used to think, earlier in the season, I'm like, oh, they're due for a cover. They're due. No, I don't believe that shit anymore. I've seen that go up in the flames too many times. Home teams that open at 3.5 at Pinnacle are 2-9 ATS, 2-10 straight up. Never has a spread opened at 3.5 and moved towards the road team. So this is the first example of that. If this closes anywhere above 3.5, so that's just we're in uncharted waters from that standpoint, but can only be a favorable thing. Lions. I got a money line parlay with the Cowboys, and I'm interested in more.
Yeah, no, I like the move that was made here. I went in expecting to bet the over. I left on the Lions first half and full game. Troy's using it in a money line parlay. I like it. Let's move on. 1 p.m. Eastern, Atlanta Falcons 5-6, 1-4 on the road. New York Jets 4-7, 2-4 at home at MetLife Stadium, East Rutherford, New Jersey. 49 Fahrenheit showers, 6 miles per hour. Sammy saying strong first half number for the Lions. That 2.5 not going to be there, and it was juiced anyways right now. But this spot here, it took everything today, and I've been doing this long enough now to know that. Look, I'm buying the Falcons high and selling the Jets low, and if I want to do this, that's fine. But talk it out with colleagues and move forward. At this point, this 2.5 was just screaming at me. The first half money line was -125 at 365. It was -133 at Pinnacle, and I was like, even then, if there wasn't so much on the line, I would have already bet it. And Al Cervix says, how is this not an under? I mean, that was the same thing I was thinking, but at 34, and I do expect Boyle to be better this week than he was last week. Let's talk it out here. We'll start with the line history. And I guess that's not saying much about Boyle, but Let's talk about the line history here for this spot. Here we go. This is now moved further towards the Falcons. It's moved 3 cents since I went through all of my everything today. It was at minus 120 at 130. And then there was this 9-cent move towards the New York Jets. And I was trying to think about, okay, what am I not seeing here? And then I started looking at these home games for the Jets. And they've been really good in some of these home games. And that's what just stopped me. And I was like, you know what, let's just hear what the chat and Troy have to say about this spot. But just before I do my breakdown, looking at these home games that they've played, they beat the Bills to start out the year right after Rodgers got hurt. Then they lose to the Patriots by 5. That was when Patriots had hope. Then they had, remember that Zach Wilson game against the Chiefs. They only lost by 3 against the Chiefs, covered that easily. Then they beat the Eagles. Now, since then, they've lost to the Chargers 27-6. That was when Zach Wilson was about done. And then they just lost to the Dolphins 34-13. But even that game, and I know it was an Eccles pick 6. I know it was all that, but it could have been 10-6, and it probably should have been 10-6 going into halftime. It wasn't like, the Eagles defense was doing everything in their power to keep them in this football game. This total very low. It's sitting at 34, under 34 minus 116, minus 116 to the under. So at that point, we're going to see 33.5s on the board. There's one now, Bovada. Bovada is the first 33.5, but they're going to be here tomorrow, the 33.5s. Skydragon says Zach Wilson is 10 times better than Boyle. Zach is mediocre, but Boyle's just bad. I agree, but I don't know what's going on with Zach mentally. That I can't. So there might be, because skill-wise, yes, but maybe he's just, a shell. Maybe he's incapable of leading his teammates in the huddle. I mean, there might be something going on with Zach because, yes, of course, from a skill set standpoint, he's better than Tim Boyle. But what must be his issue mentally if you want Tim Boyle to get another opportunity after what we just saw? So, but I hear you. Let's go over to the cash flow then up next here. And it's way back there because I had to make those bets. Okay, so here we go. Cash flow wise in this one, 47% of the tickets and 56% of the cash are on the Falcons. And I kept thinking to myself, like, do I really want to sell the Falcons high here and then, not buy the Jets low? Like 97% of the tickets are on the under, by the way, at 34. We don't know cash yet. Falcons come in off a big 24-15 win at home over their division rival, the Saints. Desmond Ridder was bad. 13-21, 168 yards, touchdown, 2 picks. He also ran 7 times for 30 yards. My whole cap was that he was going to be much better after sitting and watching. He wasn't. The reason why it cashed was just because the Saints were awful. Drake London caught 5 for 91. Bijan Robinson ran 16 for 91 and a touchdown, caught 3 for 32 and a touchdown. As a team, the Falcons ran 41 times for 228 yards. When that happens, you can control the clock and you can win football games. They were 4 of 8 on third down. Atlanta's 13th in the league converting third downs 41.9% of the time. They were 1 of 2 in the red zone. They're 18th in the league in red zone offense. Their defense bent but didn't break. They allowed 444 yards but held the Saints to 0-5 in the red zone. Now, we can all talk about how bad Carr is in the red zone, but the Falcons are now 3rd in the league in red zone defense. I mean, this is a spot where they step up. Now, they struggled getting pressure on Carr, but that didn't hurt them too much. They only sacked him once, hit him 3 times. Saints were 6 of 14 on third down. The Falcons are 6th in the league, allowing first downs on just 35.2% of opponent third down opportunities. So this is the 6th best third down defense, the 3rd best red zone defense. And Jesse Bates, that pick 6 that he had, that's the first pick 6 of the season for the Falcons. You know what happens when a team can't get that pick 6 and then they get one? Well, then the floodgates open up. The Jets coming off that ugly 34-13 loss at home to the Dolphins, and they were outgained badly, 395 to 159. Tim Boyle, 27 to 38 for 179 yards, a touchdown, 2 picks. Garrett Wilson led receivers with 7 catches, 44 yards, touchdown. Brees ran 7 times for 25 yards. It's going to be very hard for the Jets to run because you fill the box against the Jets because Tim Boyle's incapable of beating you. But the Jets only ran the ball 8 times with running backs. Why? How? What? Even if they're loading up the box to stop you, you still run at them. Yeah, I couldn't understand that. Now, we know the Jets are the worst team in the league on third down, 24.1% opportunities. Worst in the league in the red zone. They scored 28% opportunity. I mean, we know all that. That's not changed. But the defense couldn't dial up pressure. 2 sacks, 3 quarterback hits. They allowed the Dolphins go 11 of 16 on third down. The Jets are 26th in third down defense. They let the Dolphins go 2 of 3 in the red zone. The Jets' red zone defense has been, really good this year. A big, big bright spot. DJ Reed, Brandon Eccles had interceptions. I'm just scared that I'm kind of walking into a cave in a trap here, and that the Jets have back-to-back home games and they can get their shit together. What do you think of this one? And then I'm going to read the chat here. DG says, I was told 33.5 was too low in the Giants-Patriots game. DG, I rocked with you on that under. I rocked with you on that under and cashed it, no sweat. I'll do the same here. I just wanted to hear everybody's thoughts before I did it. Take it away, Troy.
So we're actually not aligning, and I haven't moved on this game either, but we're not aligning here. I think I would definitely be leaning towards the Jets +3, just because I see value in that number. What do I want to say here about the Jets? And I've said it before. I'm trying not to sound like a broken record, but I feel like people need to know, bury this in your head. In my opinion, I know these quarterbacks are not great with this Jets team, but I don't think you can put most of the blame. I don't think they catch more than half of the blame in this case. I think it's a Nathaniel Hackett problem. And I know, Aaron Rodgers, he wanted Nathaniel Hackett to be there because he likes a little bitch for an offensive coordinator that the offensive coordinator will just fall in line to whatever Aaron Rodgers wants. He wants a submissive cuck as an offensive coordinator. And this guy is incompetent. He doesn't know how to work with the talent he's got. They don't run the ball. I just can't believe it. And they have the most explosive player outside of Garrett Wilson, but they have incompetent quarterback play. So Garrett Wilson is less of an option there. You have to give the ball to Breece Hall. You have to let them try to break a few runs, get in scoring position, do something. I just can't believe it. Going back to when the Jets, when they played the Broncos, no, they actually ran the ball versus the Broncos and ran it efficiently. What game is it? Oh, the Raiders. That was terrible. I brought up some of the numbers, 2 passes in the second half, none of them on first down. They had the lead and they didn't even run the ball. It's just incredible what this play calling is going on in New York. This is the only reason I haven't moved on this, because I can't trust it. I thought eventually going to Tim Boyle, maybe they would run the ball more. I just can't understand what's going on. And you see this with a lot of teams. I'm going to get into the Browns later, but when the Bills played the Broncos, for example, you just see it too much. I talked about strength of schedule in the last game with the Saints. Well, here's Atlanta with the easiest road in the NFL this season, and they have the easiest remaining road for the rest of the year. And they still grade out middle of the pack, but I don't see that even. I'm not high on this team at all. Desmond Ridder at quarterback, we all know his story. Turnover battle, they just won't win it. They did have a big pick 6, and you're right, like you said, maybe the floodgates open. Maybe it was a matter of luck. Because I do think those DBs for Atlanta, they fly around, man. They make plays. They're really good, but still, they can't tackle. They grade out one of the worst teams in the NFL in tackling, and that's something that I like to hone in on. Falcons on the road this season. They lost to Arizona. They lost to Tennessee. They beat the Bucs by 3. They lost to the Titans. I just can't see them winning by margin in this spot. Maybe the Jets do give up. I don't know. I don't think I'll have money invested in this game, but I will say that the database at +3 is heavy on the Jets, even with the market move included in.
Brady agreeing with you. That's why I just wanted to talk it out. This isn't. I don't want to look. The Jets looked horrific. I mean, they looked so bad, but they were in that football game. There was some fluke situation. I mean, we should have cashed the under. I mean, that's just a travesty that we didn't, but Skydragon says the one argument against the under is the Jets can score. New York Giants weren't going to score on defense. That's an important point. Jared TG says the teams decide. I agree the value's in the +3. Even when Falcons win, it's close. And if we think it's going to be a very low score, that aligns with the +3.
That's another thing. I have a 3-1 ATS spot with 2 pushes. So, this market environment as it currently sits happened, 6 times, and 2 of the times it landed exactly on 3, and the other ones 4, 2, 1, and 3. It's just crazy. I think it's a really sharp market. So at that point, I'm taking the +3.
Oh, Terry, I agree with you. Yeah, it's a buy high on Atlanta after beating the Saints. That's why I was trying not to all day today. This won't be a 2.5, though. I mean, the whole world just saw Falcons beat the Saints comfortably. Now we know that they're going out on the road now, and on the road they're 1-4. Okay, I guess I can leave this one alone. But it's not easy, man. It's not easy. And I bet you the under gets there, but I mean, are we talking 17-14 or something like that? I mean, good God. The issue with the defensive touchdowns, I mean, that's what screwed us in that Dolphins game. Okay, I guess I'm leaving it alone at this point, but I know that the threes are going to be there. If you guys want the Jets at a 3 at a pick 'em, it's coming. Okay, let's move on. 1 p.m. Eastern, Arizona Cardinals 2-10, 0-6 on the road. The Pittsburgh Steelers 7-4, 4-2 at home, Acrisure Stadium, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. 52 Fahrenheit, showers, 8-mile-per-hour winds. Let's get into the line history of this one. We have Pittsburgh here at 5.5 at a lot of books. Here at Pinnacle, they opened up at 6.5 at -106, and then there was a 2-point move towards Arizona. From 6.5 to 4.5. It's a big boy move. It happened on Sunday night, right around midnight. So then it gets down to 4.5, and then people start hammering the Steelers. This gets up to -123. Then it falls back down to -117, -115 today. You could have got in on the Steelers -4.5 and -115. Now it's at -122, which is more of a 5 or a 5.5. But this opened up at 6.5 at Pinnacle, which is very interesting that the move is, and Troy's talked about his database when it goes through that from that number, and I'm sure he'll touch on it in this one. From a total perspective, this is sitting at 40.5. This opened up at 39.5. It climbed. I was watching the Bengals game. I was invested in it, and I live bet the over twice. It got up to 35.5 live a little while after I bet it. I was so confident that if the Steelers were going to put up 400 yards, how many points were they going to score? What, 16? What? It sucked that it went that way. Rant says this is a gift under. Sammy Comer says, not sure I can lay this much with the Steelers after their offense looked the best in years. And it has been years. We'll talk about that. Let's take a look at the cash flow here from the betting public here. We have on the total 46% of the tickets on the under. We don't have a cash count yet. Don't know why that is. On the spread, 71% of the tickets and 70% of the cash is on the Arizona Cardinals. Cardinals coming off their 8th loss in 9 games, an ugly 37-14 setback at home to the Rams. They were outgained badly, 457 to 292. They allowed the Rams to score 30 unanswered points in the game. That was after taking that 8-7 lead. Kyler Murray was 27-45 for 256 yards and a touchdown. Marquise Brown, 6 for 88. Trey McBride, 7 for 60. And James Conner only got 6 carries. Murray threw the ball 45 times. That's a surprise. And I know that they fell behind, but you know what? Now a few other running backs got 1 or 2 carries and some of that, but it wasn't that Conner got 6 carries, no one else did. But the Cards were 6 of 17 on third down. So I've got all the stats here for you guys. So for when Kyler Murray is at quarterback here. So since Kyler Murray returned, they're 24th on third down conversions at 35.3%. That's the exact same number they were at with Dobbs in that one game of Clayton Tune. Exact same number. But here's where they're different. They were a perfect 2 of 2 in the red zone. Since Kyler Murray returned, they're 4th in the league in red zone scoring. They scored touchdowns 71.4 of the time in his 3 games. That's a huge skyrocket up from Dobbs and Tune. The defense couldn't get pressures or stops. 0 sacks, 3 quarterback hits. Their defense is bad. Rams were 6 of 12 on third down. Arizona now, as we speak, has the worst third down defense in the NFL. They're allowing conversions 47% of the time. Rams went 4 of 5 in the red zone. Cardinals defense 23rd in the league, allowing touchdowns on 59.2% of red zone drives. Michael Wilson's shoulder, cornerback Antonio Hamilton with the groin, they were inactive. They're listed as questionable. Another cornerback, Starling Thomas, he left in the third quarter and didn't return. He's also listed as questionable this week with an ankle injury. I couldn't get more information. Steelers coming off a 16-10 victory at Cincinnati. Despite scoring 16 points, the offense looked much, much better in their first game after firing Matt Canada. Running back coach Eddie Faulkner and ran the offense. Quarterbacks coach Mike Sullivan called the plays. The Steelers outgained their opponent for the first time this season. They outgained the Bengals 421 to 222. They snapped a streak of 58 games without gaining 400 total yards. Kenny Pickett was 24-33 for 278 yards. Now, he didn't throw a touchdown and no interceptions. Pat Freiermuth, God, he looked good. 9 catches for 120 yards. Najee Harris, he's not being invisible all year. 15 carries for 99 yards and touchdown. They were 8 of 17 on third down. On the season, and then we know there's going to be a different offense now, but on the season, they're 23rd, converting 35.3% of third downs. They were 1 of 4 in the red zone. They've been terrible in the red zone all year, 28th in the league. You would think now that Freiermuth's back and you have Pickens, who's spectacular option in the red zone, that they would be able to do something, especially with Warren or Najee out of the backfield as well, but they haven't been able to. The pass rush got after Browning, sacked him 4 times. TJ Watt had 2 of them. I've been the one calling their pass rush pedestrian for the last 6 weeks or so, but they got 4 sacks and TJ got 2. They held the Bengals to just 222 yards, 2 of 10 on third down. They're 14th in the league, allowing opponents to convert 37.9% third down opportunities. They held the Bengals to 1 of 2 in the red zone, and this is where they've been really good this year. They're 5th in the league, allowing opponents to score touchdowns, just 40.6% of red zone drives. Take it away here for us, Troy. Cardinals, Steelers.
You're absolutely right. You called out exactly where I was going to go with this game, and I might as well kick it off with that because it's been so profitable this season. It's crazy being able to have this much value based on this line movement. It's insane. So we've seen this line. Okay, when road teams open between 6 and 7 and close below 5, they're 9-2 ATS and 7-4 straight up, and most of these straight up money lines are plus 200 or better. This is one of the strongest moves you'll see in the database. I bet it every single time I've seen it so far. I have not moved on this game yet. I really want to see it close below the 5. I'll be monitoring like a hawk, and I'm going to be on the money line here for the Cardinals. I have to stick to my guns. This is what's worked for me. Why would I change it up now? The problem for me was when you get to the X's and O's of this game, it's really hard to know who this Steelers team is yet at this point. I don't think they've really been tested all that much. And are the Cardinals that big of a test? Numbers would say that they're not a very big test, right? It's another cupcake opponent for Tomlin and the Steelers to grind out another win. They've been lucky as hell this season, right? And you feel like, God, the football gods are going to come claim their debts with this team. But they didn't last year with the Vikings, right? They just kept rolling, 11-0 in one-score games. It's just like, Pitt's finally having success on the ground. And if they're having success on the ground and they're stopping the run, then that negates the Cardinals' strongest suits, right? That's how the Cardinals win games. That's how they keep it close. They run the ball and they stop the run. Well, if they can't do that and the Steelers are a new team, because they fired their offensive coordinator, blah, 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 they're more, galvanized, whatever. It's just really hard for me at this point. I've seen that market yesterday. I wanted to bet the Cardinals. I've been teetering. I'm just going to wait. I'm going to make sure it closes under that 5. I'm going to bet the money line. I'm going to bet the spread. And never in the history of this line movement has the 6.5 ever came into play. This number never lands on 6. They're covering by margin. They're winning outright by margin. It's just insane. What was the Bengals? The Bengals won by 14. The time before that, let me just pull this up real quick. The time before that, the Seahawks got the job done, actually. So the Seahawks got the job done in this case. Before that, the Seahawks got blown out by 27 points. Seahawks actually account for the last, 2 of the last 3 examples of this line movement, which is just whatever. It doesn't really matter to this game. But at the same time, it's going to be Cardinals, man. I'm going to be on them. Just waiting.
This is interesting. You have Birdie and Rants on the under. We have DG looking at the over, as same with Terry Walker. At this point, if the Steelers are going to be capable of putting up 350 to 400 yards, and I know that their red zone defense is very good, but the Cardinals are going to be able to move the ball. I hope they try to run a little bit more than what they did in the last game, if you're backing them, because that was just ridiculous. But we know what Kyler Murray's doing in the red zone. Why is this? Do you think this total then is too low?
I have not even considered a total in this game because I can't bet anything else in this game but the side based on this line movement. It's a must bet. I'm just waiting, trying to be patient. Trying to be patient for a worse number, right?
And Birdie says, why would the Steelers be able to move the ball? The Steelers defense is really bad on third down. As you know, 23rd in the league. They consistently allow teams. They allowed a team of Browning at quarterback to go 8 of 17 on third down. A weak quarterback in his first start. They just don't shut down third downs, and
and if you go back and I look back at this last year too, another note I have is this Cardinals team, they graded out terribly on defense and the run defense, especially against the Rams. But if you go back and look at this, them versus the Rams always crush them. McVay has this team figured out.
And my bad, I screwed that all up. I screwed that angle up because it was the Steelers that were 8 of 17 on third down. The Steelers are 14th in the league on third down. I was looking at their offense. Their offense is 23rd in the league on third down. So the Steelers are better than and then they did shut the Bengals down on third down with Browning. So that was all wrong. Yeah, I guess I've just not been impressed with the Steelers defense this year. That's all. But I mean, if the Steelers are putting up 400 yards a game, could they put up 350 yards a game? I mean, the Cardinals' defense is horrific. They have the worst third down defense in the league. And then we know that Kyler Murray is capable of, he's 71.4% on red zone drives. The Steelers are going to score. The Steelers are going to score, at least 23 points in this football game?
What do you have on the cash flow for this total, Jimmy? Because I don't have any.
I don't have anything on the cash flow. They haven't given us any information on it. They just told us that 54% tickets are on the over. It's gone up a point or a point and a half, depending on where you shop.
And that's historically, based on the database, that line move up, that 40 and a half, 41 and a half, 42 and a half. They tick up, they go under.
Yeah, you were talking about that earlier. Yeah, earlier in the year. The Steelers team totals at 23 and a half just to the over. All right. I'm not going to bet it tonight. I'll look at it for longer. But Birdie, can you give me some more notes? If you give me a couple notes in the chat as to why you think this will go over, go under. I'd love to hear your thoughts on why it would go under. Rant says they got Freiermuth going last week. Freiermuth, Najee Harris, this offense looks completely different. If Kyler Murray is going to be able to deliver in the red zone, why wouldn't it be? Why wouldn't you be able to get to 41? I'll just leave a note for over, but I don't know if I'll move on it tonight. All right, let's roll on, and we have Troy as a move on the Cardinals if it continues, if it doesn't come back, right?
I think I'm missing a bet it now. Well, I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. I think this is closing under the 5. I'm going to take the money line right now.
Let's move on. 1 p.m. Eastern. Miami Dolphins 8-3, 3-3 on the road. Washington Commanders 4-8, 1-4 at home. FedEx Field in Landover, Maryland. 53 Fahrenheit showers, 6 mile per hour offense. And when Richard says Watt is why it will go under. I mean, this Pittsburgh defense over their last 3 weeks, they're getting 2 sacks. Like your last 3 games, 2 sacks a game. Now they get more sacks at home, 3.5 sacks at home, 2.2 on the road. It's not a defense that scares me. There's Razor Sharp picks in the house. Great to see you, Razor. Okay, let's go. Miami, Washington. Take a look at the line history here for this one. Dolphins, Commanders. Watching the Commanders' offense is wild because they're Howell's putting up big numbers and they're scoring no points, and that was against a good Cowboys defense. This is 9.5 across the board. They're showing a 10 here at Pinnacle, but it's not a real 10. It's plus 105 to the Dolphins and minus 118 for Washington. But it was a real 10 sort of at about midnight yesterday it was a minus. You could have got the Dolphins -10 at -101, but now it's at +105. So a move towards the Dolphins, and then from a total perspective, a very high. It's the highest total on the board by quite a bit. We have it at 49.5. It opened there. It got up the over 49.5, got juiced up to -120 immediately, and then it started coming down. All right, so let's get into the cash flow here. We got Swiss Horton in the house. Great to see you, Swiss. So from a cash flow standpoint here in Commanders, Dolphins, we have 40% of tickets and 71% of cash on the under. And we have 29% of tickets and 83% of cash on Washington, which is absolutely nuts. Absolutely nuts. Miami comes in off an easy 34-13 victory at the Jets. The win may prove costly. Linebacker Jalen Phillips, done for the season with a torn Achilles. That's going to hurt them. They lose Teron Armstead to a quad injury. He's been injured a lot this year, and he doesn't seem to be as integral to the offensive line as we remember from last year. He's week to week now with that quad issue. They outgained the Jets 395-159. Tua 21-30 for 243 yards, touchdown, 2 picks. Jalen Waddle caught 9 for 102 and a touchdown. First Dolphins player since Mike Wallace in 2014 of double-digit TD receptions, and he broke Julio Jones's record for most yards receiving in the first 11 games of a season since the AFL-NFL merger. Raheem Mostert, 20 carries for 94 yards, 2 touchdowns. He looked good. 11 of 16 on third down. They're 12th in the league on third down, converting 43.2% of opportunities. And they were 2 of 3 in the red zone. Best red zone team in the league here, the Fish. 73% of the time in the red zone, they cash. Their pass rush was able to put pressure on Tim Boyle, sacked him 7 times, hit him 12 times. Jets only put up 159 yards, held the Jets to 514 on third down. They're 9th in the league defensively on third down. The Jets were 1 of 2 in the red zone. The Dolphins are just 27th in the league in red zone defense. They allow touchdowns 64.7% of the time. And, if Javon Holland hadn't returned that Boyle Hail Mary, that game could have been quite a bit different, The command, but I mean, then, if Eccles hadn't had his pick six, look, I get it. The Commanders come in off an embarrassing 45-10 loss to Dallas on Thanksgiving. After the game, they fired defensive coordinator Jack Del Rio and defensive back coach Brent Visselmeyer. Ron Rivera is going to be the defensive play caller now. We've only seen teams succeed after this coaching change so far this year. The Commanders' defense has been the worst in football. They allowed 29.2 points per game. They've lost 3 straight, 8 of 10. They're 0-5 in the division. Against the Cowboys, Sam Howell was 28-44 for 300 yards and a pick. Curtis Samuel caught 9 for 100. Brian Robinson ran 15 times for 53 yards. They were 7 of 15 on third down. They're 18th in the league there on third down. They were 1 of 2 in the red zone. They're 11th in the league in red zone offense. Sam Howell's been pretty good. But he's got weapons too. Their defense could do nothing all game long. 0 sacks, 2 quarterback hits. They allowed the Cowboys to go 3 of 3 in the red zone. So this defense, Del Rio gets fired. They're 20th in the league, allowing touchdowns 55.6% of the time in the red zone. They're 18th in the league in third down. I don't understand really why they got fired. That's not the problem here. It's Dreamboat Ron is the problem, and I know he'll be gone here at the end of the year. Take it away for us here, Dolphins, Commanders, Troy.
I actually don't have much on this game, but there's something I do find interesting, and it is a prop. But I just really, my first note on my sheet is I really don't want to get involved in a side. This is the first team the Commanders have played since they sold out. The only other one was the Cowboys, who smoked them. I think what the Dolphins are doing with their short motion, I'm calling it short motion because you haven't seen much of it throughout the history of the NFL, where they motion a guy on the wide side of the field to the wider spot on the field, and it's been incredible. I mean, the things you could do with motion. It's just, you look around the NFL, you wonder why teams don't do it. What is motioning on 60% of your downs? That's what the Dolphins are doing. They're using motion on 60% of their downs. You're getting a hint at what coverage you're looking at. Is it zone? Is it man-to-man? You could get a little look at cover 0 because you got to tip your hat. The safeties have to roll down if you have that motion go across the field. It changes the assignments for the defenders too. So seeing all the motion by some of these high-powered offenses, I just can't believe some of these don't follow suit. Big favorites have been taking care of business this season. Dolphins have the worst differential in home road red zone defense. And I think that's kind of shown in the way this line, the way the sharp action's coming in. The line isn't really respecting that sharp action. I don't know if it is sharp action. It could just be a bunch of plebs. But if I were betting this game, I would take Howell's over on his pass attempts. They're a pass funnel. Even though the Dolphins haven't been, you go look at teams, I think they're one of the lowest rated teams in terms of run expectation, run over expectation for their defense. But at the same time, I know that this team, Bien-Aimi, wants to pass the ball. They want to drop Sam Howell back. That they're going to be playing from behind with this big spread. Big spreads have been covering. He's just going to continue to drop back. I like his over on his pass attempts. I think it's a good look.
Yeah, it's not on him. It's not on the. I'm with Harold. I mean, you sell your two extremely important players on the pass rush and then expect. I don't know. That's just Ron's about to be out of this for sure. I don't know of a spot, an angle here that I find appealing. And we saw the Fish on the road. Their offense is just different. It's just not as dominant. It's not as scary. It's not as in tune. And then do you want to have a huge road favorite here? I mean, they just covered in that role so easily against the Jets, but a couple defensive picks and one that was returned 99 yards was a big help there. Jared TG says the Commanders defense just an opportunity for the opposing team to rack up some counting stats for the shouting shows and the TV dummies to talk about how they can't cover shit, says Jared TG. Brady says Miami's playing really good D right now. They're healthy. Washington team total under from 20.5 to 17.5 is good. All right, let's roll on. No action at this point here. I came out guns a-blazing on this one, but these middle games I slow down a little bit. Let's move on to the next spot on the board. 1 p.m. Eastern, the Denver Broncos, 6-5, 2-2 on the road at the Houston Texans, 6-5, 4-2 at home at Energy Stadium in Houston, Texas. Let's get into the line history here for Denver, Houston. We have a spread at 3.5. Houston is 3.5-point favorites. They opened up at 3 at a pick'em, and that lasted. It moved to about minus 119 in about 15 hours. It moved to 125, right, like 7 minutes after the minus 119. And then we see 3.5s on the board. They became official this morning, the 3.5. So Houston now has passed that important number of 3. From a total side of things, we have it sitting at 47. This opened up at Pinnacle at 46. It's climbed up 1 point. From a cash flow standpoint, in this one, we have 65% of the tickets, 66% of cash on the Houston Texans, and it moved a half point. And from a total, we have 58% of the tickets and 52% of cash on the over. It's gone from 46 to 47. Broncos coming off their 5th straight win. 29-12 victory at home over the Browns. Russell Wilson just 13-22 for 134 yards and a touchdown. He also ran 11 times for 34 yards. He also fumbled twice. He lost one of them. Cortland Sutton caught 3 for 61. The Broncos went right back to smash mouth football. Ran the ball 39 times. It's what they need to do to win, even if you're against a strong defense. Javonte Williams ran the ball 18 times for 65 yards. They were 6 of 14 on third down. They're 17th in the league, converting third downs 38.7% of the time. They were 3 of 5 in the red zone, 21st there, 50% of the time they cash. The defense in the pass rush just continues to look better game after game. Held the Browns to 2 of 13 on third down. They're now 11th in the league, allowing opponents to convert just 36.2% of the time. Held the Browns to 1 of 3 in the red zone. They're now 11th there too. This could be a top 10 defense in third down and red zone here shortly. The pass rush got 4 sacks and 7 quarterback hits. They have 15 takeaways now in their last 4 games. This defense believes in each other. The Texans coming off a tough 24-21 home loss to the Jags. CJ Stroud was 26 of 36 for 304 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. He also ran 6 times for 47 yards. I wanted that kick to go in. I only wanted it just for information on these two teams. I just wanted to see what Stroud would have done under that pressure in overtime. I'm sure he would have shone, but I really wanted to see that. But I knew that Razor had his best bet on the Jags, so I was on stream with him, and I wanted him to cash. Nico Collins caught 7 passes for 104 yards. They were 6 of 13 on third down. This offense, 6th in the league, converting third downs 44% of the time. And they were 3 of 3 in the red zone. That's actually been a problem for CJ. They're starting to get a little better, but 51.3% of red zone opportunities. But they couldn't get any pressure on Lawrence. The 0 sacks, 2 quarterback hits. That's going to blow up in their face if that continues. They need to put pressure on the opposition. They allowed the Jags to go 7 of 13 on third down. They're just 24th in the league on third down, allowing opponents to convert 42.2% of the time. Their red zone defense, 52.8% of the time. They allow cashes at 16th. The defense needs to step up because this offense is clearly moving in the right direction. Do you agree with this move from 3 to 3.5 here, Troy? Take it away, Broncos, Texans.
So you're going to have to excuse me a little bit because I'm going to take this time with this game to vent a little bit and point some things out with this Broncos team. I think that they've been extremely fortunate to be sitting with 5 consecutive wins. This is clearly the worst rushing defense in the NFL. And what do teams come out and do? They pass the ball on 70% of their downs. It's just inexplicable to me why that's happening. For example, the Browns passed the ball on 80% of their downs on the first 3 possessions. Running backs combined for 16 total touches in that game. That's 20% of the snaps. That's unacceptable in this case. And Jerome Ford ran for over 7.5 yards per carry. But when the running backs did get those touches on over half the snaps, they scored on every single possession. Browns fumbled the ball 5 times. They had 5 drops, 1 on a 2-point conversion, 2 were on third downs. And they were still only down by 5 in the fourth quarter with the ball in their hands, and they fumbled it on a first down and 10. Now, Broncos, on the other hand, they had a couple of good drives early, but that's expected at this point. We know what Peyton has done with the script. He scores points early in games. In the second half, all of their points came from fumbles in their own territory, a ridiculous touchdown catch on 3rd and goal from the 10, another one that reminded me of what happened in the Bills game. It was painful to relive that. And I don't think Russell Wilson is that good. And I think the numbers bear that out to be true. He targets his running backs at the highest rate in the NFL. His average depth of target is minus 2.1 versus the sticks. That's right down there with the Jets, the Giants, and the Panthers. He throws a good deep ball, but he doesn't throw it very often. But he throws a good deep ball, I must say. I always get scared when he launches that ball because I'm usually always fading the Broncos. And he makes plays with his legs. But ultimately, I don't think this team is winning games. I think their opponents are losing them. You know, their defense has allowed 15 points per game over the past 5 weeks, but this defense still grades out last in almost every way you want to slice it. This 32nd in the NFL. So I think it's about time you could throw away, that Dolphins performance is skewing the results. That's not true, especially with how PFF grade works. But not even PFF grade. Go look at any, yards per game, all that, everything. Broncos are not who they've shown to be the past 5 games. It's my opinion. And I feel very confident in that opinion. Texans are another team that I kind of wanted to fade. I feel like I should have been on the Jags. I let it go, didn't bet it, but I would have been lucky to cash. I feel like the refs kind of took that out of their hands at the end of the game. And it was kind of unfortunate because I was just like you. I really wanted to see what Stroud was about to do in OT, but it was going to interfere with my my Browns-Broncos game, which I was pumped up to watch for the first 5 minutes of it. CJ Stroud, he almost pulled it off again, man. This kid is insane. He could throw it at all 3 levels of the field, short, intermediate, long, could throw the deep ball, all that. Pocket presence, climbs the pocket. He looks like he's almost getting too comfortable in the pocket, in my opinion. He has the pocket presence of an all-pro veteran. Maybe Russell Wilson could learn a few things from this kid. I think this line at minus 3.5 is usually the strength I like to see in a line. Spreads that close at minus 3.5, and it didn't move towards the road team. 7-2 ATS, never winning and not covering. So that's telling me that the 3 is important. I want the 3. I don't know if it'll ever get back there, but that's what I'm waiting for, and I don't know why. But I want the Texans. I just don't know exactly how I'm going to play them. I'm looking forward to reading the chat and seeing what they think because I want to bet the Texans. And if I don't bet the Texans this week, I will be fading the shit out of the Broncos for a max play in the coming weeks. I see Detroit on their schedule, and I know Detroit will fucking pound the ball down their throats. I cannot wait.
Yeah, I get the move from 3 to 3.5, but I didn't have the conviction to step up in front of the Broncos. But I get what you were saying here, but this group is starting to believe in themselves, and that's why they're getting the takeaways. That's why they're getting those magical plays, and Wilson's not trying to do too much. And hey, when he makes the best throw when it really counts in the red zone. That throw to Cortland Sutton against the Bills, that throw to Troutman this past week where they called him out of bounds, reviewed it, and the guy was in by a 1/4 inch sliding on his ass.
that ball was on the money. I mean, he does. He makes big throws when it counts the most, but he also is a shithead and he has terrible ball security. So
Birdie says he wants to take the Texans here, but he doesn't think they will be able to run well enough or stick to it to cover this. If you throw versus that Broncos secondary, you will lose, he says.
yeah, that's a really good point. That's why I haven't moved on this game yet. I want a team that's going to commit to the run. They will run the ball. I don't want a team that I think is going to run the ball. I wish if I knew a team was going to come out and run the ball 60% of the time versus Broncos team, I'd be betting. But like you said, Texans can't run it.
That's what Doug says, lean Broncos gravy train. Houston can't run the ball. Jared TG says, like the under, leaning to Broncos, but need some more time with this one. Sammy Comer says under or pass. Let's move on to the next spot on the board. 4:05 p.m. Eastern. Carolina Panthers 1-10, 0-6 on the road. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers 4-7, 2-3 at home. Raymond James Stadium in Tampa, Florida, 81 Fahrenheit, mostly cloudy, 8 miles per hour. I wish this total wasn't a 37. I would definitely be on the under. I wasn't sure really what I expected, but I did expect it to be a little higher than 37. I guess it's just a sharp line at this point. And it's juiced to minus 114 to the under. This opened up at 38. If I could get a 39 or even a 38.5, I would be on the under. From a side perspective here in this one, we have the Bucs at minus 5.5. I mean, I don't know. Look, I know Carolina's bad, but I don't know how after watching the Bucs play week in and week out, you expect them to cover by margin, even though they were doing that earlier in the year. 68% of the tickets and 97% of cash on the under. On the side, 71% of the tickets and 61% of cash on the Panthers. So Panthers are a public road dog. Panthers come in off an ugly 17-10 loss at Tennessee. They're now 0-6 on the road. And then David Tepper fires Frank Reich. And I don't know if this is going to have the same feeling here. When someone and I don't know if it will for Washington either. When somebody gets fired, like a Matt Canada, someone that people have been waiting, okay, you got to fire this guy. You got to fire this guy. Then there's always that boost. But the decisions that were made, in the, trading for Bryce Young and everything they gave up Bryce Young, and the injuries that attack this defense, the injuries have been horrific. I mean, if you look at what's gone on with them, you lose Shaq Thompson, that first game of the year? Was that the first game of the season? I mean, I remember we had a live stream on it. You have no Jeremy Chin, no Gross Matos, CJ Henderson and JC Horn, are out. JC Horn's still on IR. I mean, these are huge, huge pieces to your puzzle, and losing them, is it all on Frank Reich? So now special teams coordinator Chris Tabor takes over as the interim head coach. Senior assistant Jim Caldwell is a special advisor to offensive coordinator Thomas Brown, who will be back to play calling, because I remember they switched back and forth between the two of them. The Panthers also fired quarterbacks coach Josh McCown and Deuce Staley, and that decision was made by Tabor and Caldwell. They thought with the transition of power, they don't want these other two. I don't know the story behind that, but against Tennessee, Bryce Young was 18-31 for 194 yards. He also ran 3 times for 23 yards and lost a fumble. Jonathan Mingo led receivers with 4 catches for 60 yards. Chuba ran 14 times, 45 yards, a touchdown, and caught 5 for 47. They're not that bad in certain aspects. They're 20th on third downs, 6 of 16 against the Titans, who are good on third down defense, and they convert 37.3% of those. They are 19th in the red zone. They just don't get there enough, but they're fine there. The defense bends but doesn't break pretty well. I mean, they held the Titans to just 2 of 11 on third down. This Panthers defense, with all the injuries they've faced, they're 4th in the league in third down, allowing opponents to convert just 35% of opportunities. The pass rush didn't get any pressure on Will Levis. That's been a problem this year. 1 sack, 4 quarterback hits. The Titans were 2 of 2 in the red zone. Carolina's red zone defense is horrific. 31st in the league, allowing opponents to score 72.2% of opportunities. Then they lose starting left guard Chandler Zavala. So he was seen on crutches, but I'm not sure how bad it is. He's just questionable at this point. They also lost a linebacker, DJ Johnson, to a neck injury. The Buccaneers coming off their second loss in a row in 6 and 7 games, 27-20 at Indy. Baker Mayfield hurt his ankle on the opening drive, but he battled through it. 20 of 23 for 199 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick. He also ran 3 times for 14 yards, fumbled twice, losing one of them. He had an MRI on the ankle on Monday. It came back negative. He says it hurts. I know that this is an opportunity for some of us in the survivor pool. That concerns me that he's hurting. He's been banged up all year. Mike Evans caught 6 for 70 and 2 touchdowns. Rashad White, 15 carries for 100 yards, caught 2 passes for 10. But the defense did not look good. Now, they played without starting linebacker Levante David, starting quarterback Jamel Dean. That hurts them badly, obviously. They've been bad all year on third down. They're 29th in the league on third down, allowing opponents to convert 44.5% of the time. The Colts finished just 2 of 11 on third down. So that was a surprise because they've been so bad there. But the Colts went 3 of 5 in the red zone. So it's sort of a flip because the Bucs red zone defense being so good this year, second in the league, allowing touchdowns just 37.8% of the time. And at home, so this is why it could still end up, and this is probably why at home, this red zone defense is unbelievable. At home, they allow touchdowns on 20% of red zone drives. I mean, that's unheard of. And that's so good. Take it away for us here and touch on the survivor. I know your friend, Tim Crowley, is battling Pete Loshak and myself for the cash in the survivor pool. Just 3 of us left. Touch on your thoughts here on the survivor for the Buccaneers, because I know they'll be high on people's lists. And are you moving on this one, Troy?
Yeah, I got bounced hypothetically last week when I took the Patriots on survivor. So, I'm done. I mean, I haven't done any contests in the past before. So this is my first year really looking at contests and, how to play them. And it's almost like a poker tournament in a way. And I'm thinking about the Cappers contest now. It's almost like a poker tournament where, some people are tournament players. Some people are cash game players. I'm more of a cash game player than a tournament player. But I'll talk about this game a little bit because I do have an opinion on it. This line, 5.5. Immediately, I smell weakness for the Buccaneers, and I immediately start looking towards the Panthers. But it's not that easy of a situation. Like you said, that's one of the stats I touched on that I was going to touch on later in the show. Here it is, the home road red zone dichotomy. And I mean, they had the Lions and the Eagles at home, and they kept those 2 teams out of the red zone in a majority of their attempts, which was pretty impressive to me. But it's not that easy. Panthers are 0-5 ATS on the road, and Bryce Young visibly adjusting to the NFL. Huge size differential, and you could tell it's definitely impacted. I mean, under pressure, he can't see downfield. His stature just ain't there to do it. The balls are getting batted down. Anytime he's under pressure, it feels like the ball gets batted down at the line of scrimmage. The offense is so damn underwhelming. It's not easy to get to the Panthers' side. The crazy part was I watched the end of that game. I felt like the refs were trying to get the Panthers into position to cover. It really felt like that, and they couldn't do it. And the Bucs defense at this point, I can't believe what I'm seeing because the Bucs forever, I'm like, this is a defensive team. They got a lot of the same pieces. Well, not anymore, man. Outside of the defensive line, this team has been pretty much completely inept. Outside of the red zone, they've been pretty much completely inept. Secondary just can't defend at all. So I'm only looking towards the Panthers. Since 2020, road dogs between +4 and +6 in a divisional game. 63% ATS, 50% straight up. If 5 or 5.5 exactly in a divisional game, 9-3 ATS, 7-5 straight up. This 5.5 is showing weakness, in my opinion. My database is probably going to force my hand again. I'll probably be on the Panthers.
What do you think about Survivor using them? Do you think obviously if you're on the side with the points, would you also be adding a money line ticket on the Panthers?
I would consider it, especially if we don't see this line get to 6. I'm going to consider this as another money line play. I definitely feel more confident in the market for the Cardinals, but I'm goddamn, I'm not going to be betting the Panthers on the money line, so I won't do it. No, I'm not betting the Panthers on the money line, but I'm not playing the Buccaneers per the trends in Survivor. No way.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I mean, we're here week 13, so
yeah.
we're through 12 different teams. It's not easy anymore. Birdie says Caldwell in the decision-making position ++, especially with a young quarterback. Do you agree with that?
I am actually now I'm reconsidering it. Fuck. That's a tough. Survivor is really tough this week. Wow. Because all these teams are wasted, huh? Yeah, it's actually a really tough one. Maybe I would consider them, but I can't give an educated opinion on that. What was your question, Jimmy?
About Caldwell. You like Caldwell in this opportunity with Bryce Young?
Not really. I still think this offense, like I said, they're underwhelming. I don't think it's going to make a big difference. You're not going to, if you don't add 3 inches to Bryce Young's height, and I think he's still going to be struggling until he fully adjusts to the NFL. Maybe adjust this week because this is a good team to do it against.
Well, I'm thinking about it for Survivor, but just that alone. I wish it was a little bit higher so I could get underneath it, but I'm not going to try to get underneath the 37. Although I think, it's just a sharp line on the total. Let's move on. 4:25 p.m. Eastern, Cleveland Browns 7-4, 2-3 on the road to LA Rams, 5-6, 2-3 at home at SoFi Stadium, Inglewood, California. Let's get over to the line history here for this one. Sitting here with the Rams as -3.5 point favorites. They opened up as 5-point favorites. There was a 1.5 point move to the Cleveland Browns this morning. You could have got the 5 at you could have got +5 when it was juiced to the Rams yesterday afternoon. So a big move here, big move to the Cleveland Browns. I guess it was the MRIs coming back all clean, and we'll go over that here, but that had to be it. All the MRIs came back clean. And so people think that Garrett's going to play, not only Garrett, but others, and we'll go over all that. But take a look at the total here. This total is at 39.5. This opened up at 38.5. It has climbed a point, and that 39.5 is juiced to -113, which tells us that possible 40s are on the horizon. Ron Crawford, NFL spreadsheet play today is in Cleveland +4. Cleveland +4. Spenny Pennybaum's also on the Browns. Terry Walker on the Browns. Harold Williams on the Browns. Mac Beaver on the Browns. But Doug on the other side with the Rams. All right. Let's break this one down. We head to Inglewood, California. Oh, did we talk about the cash flow? Let me get the cash flow up really quickly here for this one. We have 62% of the tickets and 48% of the cash on the Rams. So there is a big bets coming in on the Cleveland Browns. And from a total side of things, 76% of the tickets, 91% of the cash is on the under, and yet it's climbed a point. Browns coming off that ugly and costly. Well, we thought it was going to be more costly than it is after the MRIs come out, but we still have things to see. We don't know if Dorian Thompson Robinson is going to be back or not, but 29-12 loss at Denver. Myles Garrett left Empire Field with a sling on his left shoulder. The MRI came back clean. Will he play? They think he has a good chance of playing. DTR knocked out in his first road start with a head injury. He's in concussion protocol. That's the only that's the only story that isn't good there. Amari Cooper with the rib injury, Jordan Elliott with the ankle injury. They're expected to be okay and fine. DTR was 14-29 for 134 yards, touchdown before he got knocked out. PJ Walker came in and looked awful. 6-13 for 56 yards, fumbled twice, losing one of them. Harrison Bryant and Elijah Moore also had fumbles. So the question is, and you'll have a better idea of this than us, is it Joe Flacco week? Is it Joe Flacco week in Cleveland? David Njoku led receivers with 6 catches for 59 yards. Cedric Tillman caught 4 for 55. Jerome Ford had 9 carries for 65 yards. They were just 2-13 on third down and 1 of 3 in the red zone. No point going over those stats because obviously a lot of those were with Deshaun Watson. So who knows who's going to be a quarterback. The league's top-ranked defense looked pedestrian. Pass rush finished with 1 sack, 4 quarterback hits. They allowed the Broncos to go 6-14 on third down. Browns are the best team in the league defensively on third down. They allowed conversion just 27.1% of the time. They allowed the Broncos to go 3 of 5 in the red zone. That's been a problem for the Browns. As much as we've talked about how great their defense is all year, they're 24th in the league in red zone defense. They allow touchdowns 61.5% of the time. Rams coming off an easy 37-14 victory at Arizona. LA scored 30 unanswered points after falling behind 8-7 in the first quarter. They outgained Arizona 457-292. Stafford looked great. 25-33, 229 yards, 4 touchdowns to pick. Kyron Williams was incredible in that first game back after missing 4 with an ankle injury. Ran 16 times for 143 yards, caught 6 for 61 and 2 touchdowns. Tutu Atwell caught 3 for 76. Nakua and Kupp had very quiet games, but it didn't matter. 6-12 on third down. They're 14th in the league on third down, converting 41.5% of the time. Their red zone offense has just looked better and better as season's gone on. And now with Kyron Williams as an option out of the backfield, I mean, this is dangerous. They were 4-5 in the red zone. They're 7th in the league, scoring touchdowns, 61.3% of red zone drives. And their mediocre defense was strong throughout. The pass rush got 4 sacks, 6 quarterback hits. The Cards went 6 for 17 on third down. Rams are 19th in the NFL, allowing opponents to convert 39.6% of the time. Cards were 2-2 in the red zone. So the Rams are 19th in third down defense. They're 17th in red zone defense. Very pedestrian defense. Now, this secondary is extremely young. They're going to get better. They're going to improve. And maybe they start improving late in the year. Maybe it's next year where they'll have maybe we're 2 years away from having a really strong secondary. Take it away for us here, Troy. Tell us your thoughts. I know you know this Cleveland Browns team very, very well. Browns, Rams, big line move towards the Browns.
This is another line that opened at 5 or 5.5. Listen, I've told myself I wouldn't bet the Browns this week or the Chargers this week. That's what I told myself coming in. But when I see the line open at 5, now it's creeping down towards the Browns, down to 4.5, down to 3.5. I can only look one way. I'm not fading the market, especially in this situation, because this has been a very strong market historically. But the Rams, I could talk about the Browns ad nauseum. So let me talk about the Rams a little bit. They're coming off a massive, not a massive win, but they absolutely crushed a team that they always crush and dominate. They're slowly becoming a public sweetheart. 4 straight games of 60% plus of the bets. In my opinion, they're getting overvalued in the marketplace given this line. It's starting to correct itself slowly. This pass blocking unit is 25th in the NFL, and that's skewed because of two games where they graded out perfect against the Seahawks and the Cardinals. That's 4 games, because they played both those teams twice, and they put up great grades. And this offensive line is still grading out as one of the worst in the NFL. And versus top 10 pass rushes, the Eagles, the Niners, the Bengals, the Steelers, this offensive line fell apart. Their overall grade was 45 on average. It was good. That's good enough for worse in the NFL, undoubtedly. And I don't get too hyped on Kyren Williams, at least not yet. Over half of his production, he has over 300 yards rushing against one team this season. That's the Cardinals. Put up over 300 yards against just that team. And that's over half of his production. So I'm not that hyped like a lot of other people are on Kyren, especially behind this offensive line. And we know that Matt Stafford, when he had bad offensive lines in the past, he struggled. He turned the ball over. I feel like I could expect a turnover or 2 from Matt Stafford in this game. They're only 2-8 ATS off a win the past 2 seasons. They've only covered 2 games as a home favorite the past 2 seasons. On the other side, you got the Browns, who are undefeated ATS off a loss. You know where I'm going with this after I started with that, line opening at 5. Browns are undefeated ATS off a loss. I'm praying that Joe Flacco's in this game. After what we've seen at quarterback, it's incredible. And Birdie touched on how bad the Browns defense has been. But if you go and look at those individual circumstances in each of those games, there's multiple 4 or 5 defensive touchdowns, turnovers in their own territory that turn into easy field goals. Now, the one thing I will say, and it's absolutely true, if you get into the red zone on the Browns, something happens. I can't really put my finger on what's happening. I went back and I watched the film this past week again. I watched so much film on this team in the red zone trying to figure that out over the past 24 hours. And I can only come up with one answer at this point, and that's that the pass rush doesn't adjust. The defensive line, there's no 5-step drops in the red zone. They're driving up the field like they're fucking rushing a pass around 3rd and long every down. And I don't know why they haven't corrected that. It seems like a very correctable thing, but sometimes players just don't respond, and maybe that's what we're seeing in the red zone. So hopefully they don't have many opportunities in the red zone. Yeah, I'm taking the Browns plus 3.5. And McVay, I don't like fading McVay, but catching 3.5 with this Browns team. Hopefully Joe Flacco's at quarterback. All you have to do is not turn the ball over. And this Browns team has 3 more wins on their record. Yeah, I don't love fading McVay, but this line movement from 5.5 down to 3.5, where it currently sits, 7-2 ATS spot, 5-5 straight up. Look at SDQ. Well, teams who lose by 17 versus a team that won by 17 in the prior week are way over 60% in a big sample over the past 15 years. And I wish I could do, I don't know all the tricks of the trade with the SDQ well, Killer Sports. I want to know when a home team is under 500, is off a win, and an opponent is over 500, and they're off a loss. Someone in the chat could run that for me. That'd be great. Or, send me the SDQL on Twitter or something. Send me the syntax for that, because I need to, I was trying to figure that out today, and I was wasting too much time. But I'm on the Browns. I bet them plus 3.5. And I'm starting to see a money line round robin coming my way with the Cardinals and the Browns opportunities.
Wow. Big balls dangling around. Browns plus 3.5 with Flacco possibly a quarterback. Good God.
Hey, Flacco, go look at the numbers, all the passing numbers, all the grades. He grades out way better than Dorian Thompson-Robinson or PJ Walker. And that's his past 3-4 seasons. He grades way higher than these guys. I don't care if he hasn't played. At the end of the day, we're getting a Super Bowl MVP, right?
Yeah. He's champion. He wants to be back out there badly. And, that's a huge move from 5 to 3.5. So I'm certainly not going to get in the way of it at this point.
Al, how do you say that Flacco playing says we forfeit the season? That don't mean anything about forfeiting the season. I was actually impressed with what they see now, what I see now of Dorian Thompson-Robinson. I think the offensive coordinator put him in a bad position to perform because they did not run the ball at all versus the run defense. That is inept. But I don't think that that's saying that we forfeit. I think it's saying we're looking for an answer because our rookie quarterback is knocked out. Our, multi-million-dollar contract superstar quarterback is out for season. They're looking for answers. Here comes Birdie. He's ready to hammer me.
Troy has moved on the Browns plus 3.5. Let's move on to the big one. This is the big one. 4:25 p.m. Eastern. San Francisco 49ers 8-3, 4-2 on the road. Philadelphia Eagles 10-1, 5-0 at home. Lincoln Financial Field, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. 50 Fahrenheit showers, 7 miles per hour. When this line came out, I was as shocked as anybody. I don't know. In my estimation, there's no football team in the league that should be a favorite at Lincoln Financial Field. And I was shocked. The -2 at -103, that made some sense to me. When this line came out on Sunday night at 8:30, we were on our live stream. We were live betting. We were in the middle of the Chargers-Ravens game when it came out at Pinnacle. And there was an immediate move towards the Eagles, moved 9 cents towards the Eagles. Then it bounced back towards the Niners. And this, we're talking like a lot of movement. This was bouncing all over the place in the first 2 hours, 3 hours that it came out. But it wasn't till the morning of Monday when the Niners started getting hammered, moved to 2.5. Then it moved to 3 yesterday afternoon, and it was a legit 3. I mean, you could have got the Eagles on the other side at +3, -108. So at that point, the line started moving back towards Philly. Right now, if you wanted that +3 for the Eagles, it's -118. And when you look around at the other books, there are 2.5s at regular prices, not 3s. There is a 3 at Bet Online, the 3 for Philadelphia at -120. There's a 3 at Bookmaker. Bookmaker has the most legit 3. It's a -114 to the Eagles and -106 to the San Francisco 49ers. From a total side of things here, we have a 46.5, a juice to the under. This total opened up at 45.5. It's climbed a point to 46.5. This game means so much more to the 49ers. I honestly don't know if the Eagles care that much. And why would they? I mean, this isn't the playoffs. And they got the Cowboys on deck. But why would the 49ers show anything to the Eagles? They should show them nothing. You're going to have to beat Philadelphia if you want to make your dreams come true. So wouldn't you just come with the most vanilla offense? I mean, in all honesty, this game doesn't really matter to the Niners. Yes, it matters to their fans. Are the players really so angry about getting destroyed without a quarterback in the playoffs? I don't know why this game would soar over, because I don't think either offense is going to show anything. No trick plays, no surprises, no anything. So we'll talk more about this in a second. Birdie says the number 1 seed very much alive. Yeah, if Philadelphia loses here, then loses to Dallas, and then they have the tiebreaker. The Niners come in brimming with confidence. Since their 3-game losing streak, they've outscored the Jaguars, Bucks, and Seahawks 92-30. They come in off a 31 victory at Seattle. They outgained the Seahawks 377 to 220. When we go over exactly the standings here for the Niners, I mean, if they're going to hold the tiebreaker with both the Cowboys and the Eagles, which is probably going to be, extremely helpful. So that's if, the Cowboys, if they beat the Eagles here, and then the Cowboys beat the Eagles. Well, you were expecting the Eagles to go lose back-to-back spots? Yeah, I hear the number 1 seed up for it. I just don't see this as. If I was coaching the 49ers, I would not want. I would want to keep so many important plays from them and not want them to see them, because you're going to need to pull them out in the playoffs. They outgained the Seahawks 377 to 220. Brock Purdy was 21 to 30 for 209 yards, a touchdown, interception. McCaffrey was excellent running the ball. 19 times for 114 yards, 2 touchdowns. He caught 5 for 25. Debo caught 7 for 79, ran 4 times for 15 yards, touchdown. They were 5 of 11 on third down. They're 5th in the league converting third downs 44.4% of the time. They had another strong game in the red zone, 3 of 4. On the season, they're 6th in the league, scoring TDs 61.4% of red zone drives. The defense was all over Geno Smith, sacking him 6 times, hitting him 12 times. Seahawks only managed 14 first downs. They held the Seahawks to 15 total yards in their first 5 possessions. The Seahawks were just 3 of 11 on third down. The Niners defense has struggled in that stat all year. They're just 21st in the league in third down defense. They held the Seahawks to 1 failed trip in the red zone. They're only 13th in the league in red zone defense. They lose Talanoa Hufanga, and then they lose their backup safety, George Odom. So you've lost safeties in back-to-back weeks for the 49ers. The Eagles come in off an impressive 37-34 victory at home over the Bills on a short week after revenging their loss in the Super Bowl against a good team in a must-win situation. The Eagles prevailed. Now they have the Cowboys on deck. This is very, very difficult. Can this Eagles team beat the 49ers, who are out for revenge? Jalen Hurts was 18 of 37 for 200 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. He also ran 14 times for 65 yards, 2 touchdowns. Hurts was terrible in the first half and was spectacular in the second half. This team just knows how to win. DeMonta Smith caught 7 passes for 106 yards and a touchdown. DeAndre Swift ran 14 times for 80 yards. They were just 4 of 11 on third down. They're 3rd in the league converting third downs 47.3% of the time. They were a perfect 4-4 in the red zone. They're 5th in the league in the red zone scoring touchdowns 61.4% of the time. The team is very good, but their defense just looks poor. They're not nearly as strong as last year's version. The Bills put 505 yards on them. The pass rush finished with 1 sack and 4 quarterback hits. Last year, they averaged 3.9 sacks per game. This year, they're just behind the Niners. They averaged 2.9 sacks per game. The Bills were 13 of 22 on third down. That means that now, as we speak, the only teams that are worse than the Eagles in third down defense in the entire league are the Chicago Bears and the Arizona Cardinals. They're 28th in the league in red zone defense. So they're 30th in third down, 28th in red zone defense. Hopefully Lane Johnson, who's dealing with the groin injury, is capable of coming back. But when will their issues on defense start hurting them? Because they still seem to be so good that they can get away with all these holes in their defense. I honestly, and I've said it and I keep repeating it, I don't see this as a spot where you'd want to open up your whole playbook. I really don't. If there's any big spots that can convert a third down or convert a fourth down, I wouldn't show them. I wouldn't drop them here. Take it away, Troy, the big one. Lincoln Financial Field, Niners, Eagles.
If you think I'm biased on the Browns, man, you should have seen me last year with this Philly team. I mean, in this chat, in this show last year, in Gridiron Gamblers, I was Philly every single week. Because this Eagles and this game last year in the playoffs, this is my biggest bet of my sports betting career, almost of my gambling career, if you take away some of the bets I've made in poker. But I just can't believe, I thought I'd finally be fading the Eagles. I just can't believe that we're seeing threes in the market. It's blowing my mind. The strength of this three reminds me of some other threes that we've seen. Bills versus Dolphins, 49ers versus Jags, Ravens, Lions, just that surprising number, that hard three. To me, it just speaks volumes to this game because undoubtedly the 49ers have been better than Philly in almost any single metric you want to look at. Public is rushing to the window to back this team. They have NFC Championship revenge, better on offense and defense, laying 3 on the road. And, the Eagles got the Cowboys on deck, like you said. And some people think that this Eagles team has been lucky. And I agree. It's a fair argument. And I tend to agree with that for the most part. Completely fair. But what's there to be said about just capitalizing on mistakes? That's what the Eagles do. Good teams capitalize on those mistakes. And just using an example like the Vikings, Bears yesterday. The Bears did not capitalize on any of those mistakes and almost cost them the game. The Eagles would have punished every single mistake that happened yesterday. That's just, that's what good teams do. False start, fumbles, turnovers. Good teams get off the field. They turn those turnovers into points. I say all that to say I don't know what I'm going to do with this game. I really thought I was going to be on the 49ers in the spot. It had been the first time I'm fading the Eagles in over 2 years. But when you put it in the database, something ain't right because you have sharp action. Did you touch on the cash flow in this game, Jimmy?
I don't know if I did. I was so caught up, but I'll hit it again. 81% of the tickets and 83% of the cash on the over. And on the spread, you have 25% of the tickets and 47% of the cash on the Eagles. So the big bets coming in on the Eagles.
Eagles, and the spread's moving the other way. And this is actually very interesting. I don't know what to make of this. I'm going to get into some numbers from the database here. So home teams that close at +3, the market move in those situations. So this one moved towards the 49ers. The market move is only 5 and 12 ATS. The sharp action, so the bigger bets, 16 and 9. Home teams that close at +3 after a move to the road team, 5, 3, and 3 ATS. It landed on 3 35% of the damn time. On teaser leg, the home team's 11 and 0. But if the sharps, when the line moves this like it did, if the sharps are on the home team and they're fade in the market move, they're 4 and 0 ATS, 4 and 0 straight up. And then the last thing I got, I don't know how much applies, but in this same given market situation, the total moves to the over. Home team is 4 and 0 ATS, 4 and 0 straight up as well. My model has this sitting at Eagles -1, and you can maybe adjust that now. Like that's not accounting for the spot. What they got on deck, NFC Championship revenge, all these teetering on a loss with this Eagles team. So if you adjust for the Eagles for this shitty spot, I'm still only getting what? Eagles +1, Eagles +2, getting a full 3. And usually when people look at their model and they have that big of a differential, they automatically bet it. So I should be automatically betting the Eagles, but no, because I'm not the sharpest motherfucker in the room. The books are the sharpest motherfuckers in the room. That's why they're open for business 24/7, 365 days. So I haven't moved on this at all yet. Now I'm split because X's and O's got me thinking one way, spot got me thinking one way, but the database has another. And that other, the database is on my favorite team to bet on. So it's really, it's hard for me.
I've had a tricky time with the 49ers this year. I'm undefeated. I'm 1 and 0. I've only bet against them in that Vikings game. That's it. I've not bet any of their games. I felt that the market loved them way too much early in the year, and it clearly continues to. I mean, obviously, you would look at this number and say, "Oh, they're begging you to back the Eagles here."
Yep.
It's a shocking line to me. I mean, if this had come out at a pick'em, I would be like, wow, they really respect the Niners. But it comes out with the Niners, -2, and moves to 2.5, and now there's an expensive 3. I guess I'm sort of an old school guy in the fact that there's a lot of hoops that the Niners have to jump through to get that first seed in the conference. And I don't, obviously beating Philadelphia here and then expecting Philadelphia to lose at Dallas. I mean, that's a lot to ask here. Doug says this line is showing massive strength to the Niners.
Massive,
it is.
Massive
It is.
strength. Ridiculous strength.
Yeah, and then obviously everybody talking about how the Niners need to win out and get that spot first in the conference, because they have a pretty nice schedule to finish off the year if they can win this game. They have the Ravens, but they'll be at home. They have the Rams on the final game of the season. They'll be at home. They only travel to Arizona and Washington to finish this off. So there's no reason they won't sweep the board. So you're asking the Philadelphia Eagles, who have just, gone into Kansas City and then came back on a short week and beat Buffalo, to lose back-to-back weeks.
And Birdie says that this team is power rated number 1 almost everywhere. The line is 100% correct. So what would the Niners be if they were at home in this game? What would the Niners be at home?
It's a good question, because people aren't using the 3s anymore for that. So I would be curious to hear, because I mean, imagine if these two teams played each other in San Francisco, and San Francisco is 5.5-point favorites.
I'd be on the Eagles.
Oh God, of course. Of course, it would be all over. Everybody would be all over them. For fun, I want to be alone when I watch this game anyways. I mean, for fun, do I need to have action on this game? We don't do this for fun. This is a business and we need to make money. Look, Sammy Comer says halftime, full-time 49ers Eagles. Says he loves this price. And I don't see an edge in backing a 49ers team that's 4-2 on the road as 3-point favorites or 2.5-point favorites at Philadelphia as 5-0 at home. I don't see the edge. We're trying to find an edge, an angle, and then I feel like they're setting this up for us to find that Philadelphia real appealing at home. So honestly, I think that this is going to be a lower scoring grudge match, but Philadelphia's defense at this point on third down and red zone, I can't expect the under. And there's all these great, like I've got 8 bets here before we even have the show, and that's way more, than I usually have. So I just, Al Silver says he feels great. Niners jumped off the page for him. Harold Williams says maybe the 49ers first half too. So there's not, and I apologize for then this video not, at least we have a ton of action in the chat. We've been highlighting all the comments. At this point, Troy, do you expect to make a move on either side?
No, I can't give a side. I'll probably be betting this game, to be honest. I have no angle at this point. I see both sides, man. But I'm a freaking addict, man. I need action in these types of games. And I've done well betting these types of games. But we'll see. I'll definitely keep my Twitter update.
Al Service says, do you think a monsoon game in the cold that almost goes through overtime takes a toll? I don't know. Yeah. Do you think a flight across the country takes a toll? I don't know. Yeah. I mean, when it comes down to it, I don't think last week matters at all. These are the best 2 football teams in the league, and they want to send a message without opening up the playbook entirely. I still believe that. I maybe that's just old fashioned, but I'd be saving the most important plays, the most important trick plays, the most important surprise situations, formations that would surprise the Eagles. I would save them personally.
So what do I make of this of the database? I mean, I know it's a small sample, right? But 16 and the sharps are 16-9 when the spread closes at +3, and most of the times numbers that when it closes at +3, it's a move towards the road team, and in which case the sharps are 4-0, and they're fade in the market move. So does the open at 2.5? I'm just because if it's supposed to be 3, why didn't it open at 3? Is my question then. God, it is just such a tough game. We can move on, Jimmy.
49ers, Philadelphia Eagles, no action for me here. There's a lot of Terry Walker says the under. That's the only thing I'm thinking about moving on is the under. But at this point, I can't do it. I can't. It would be a first half under. Be a first half under. You know, I what is the first half under? Let me just pull this up right now. Because I just the red zone defense. You see what happens when the Eagles need to score. They go down and they score. The first half under 22.5. 3 touchdowns and the field goal catches the over. Al Cervic says San Francisco is rested with everyone healthy and revenge spots are revenge spots. The 49ers just lost an incredible cover man in Talanoa Hufanga and then lost his backup, George Odom, last week. I mean, those are huge losses, man. Huge losses. Okay. Doug saying 3 days extra rest for San Francisco. Yeah. Look, I don't know how the Eagles came back on short rest and beat the Bills. That, even though I didn't move on it, I beat myself all week for not taking the 3.5. I didn't take the 3. All right, that is Niners, Eagles.
I didn't bet that game either, but the market, the database said bet the Eagles. I talked about it last week on the show.
Yeah.
I was like, all the X's and O's. The spot says Bills, but the database is on the Eagles, so I can't bet it. And now that's why I'm so heavily leaning on the database right now. But we'll see.
Let's move on to the Sunday nighter, 8:20 p.m. Eastern. Kansas City Chiefs 8-3, 4-1 on the road to Green Bay Packers, 5-6, 3-2 at home. Lambeau Field in Green Bay, Wisconsin, 39 Fahrenheit, showers, 6-mile-per-hour winds. We talk about when a line jumps out off the page. Well, this was the line that jumped out off the page. It jumped out off the page at me. How could the Packers be 6.5 after what we just saw? Am I buying them too high? I just couldn't. I was like, no, I can't. I got to put a line through it. And then for 24 hours, I'm sitting there and I'm like, no, I have to bet the Packers at 6.5. I need to have it in my pocket before we do our live stream. I have to. So I did this morning. I mean, I talked about this on the live stream with Bobano. He'd already moved on the Packers. And I was like, well, yeah, I mean, it just jumps out off the page of you. And when I saw bookmaker move it to 6 this morning, I thought, yeah, okay, I'll take the 6.5. I don't think it's going to be here come kickoff, and I want it in my pocket badly. And so I bet it. So I'm on the Packers plus 6.5. And usually that first spot that jumps out at me, I try so hard to stay away from because I know everybody else is seeing the same thing. From a total scenario, this is sitting at 42.5. That's where it opened at. We've had 8 cents of movement towards the under. Then we go to the cash flow for the Sunday nighter. 57% of the tickets are on the Packers. 43% of the tickets are on the Chiefs. We have no cash flow information. And from a total side of things here, we have 70% of the tickets and 55% of cash on the under. The Chiefs coming off an impressive 31-17 road win at Las Vegas in the game that saw them fall behind 14-0 before completely taking over the game. Patrick Mahomes was 27-34 for 298 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Rashee Rice continues his ascension, 8 catches for 107 yards and a touchdown. If he becomes a real weapon, which he has, then the Chiefs start to become scary again because we know what Kelsey and Pacheco can do. They're very good, but they need that wide receiver that can stretch defenses. Kelsey caught 6 for 91. Pacheco ran 15 times for 55 and 2 touchdowns, caught 5 for 34. They were 5 for 11 on third down. They're 4th in the league, converting 44.4% of third down chances. They were 3 of 4 in the red zone. They're 13th in the league, scoring touchdowns 56.1% of the time. The Chiefs have held 11 straight teams to 24 or fewer. I mean, it's amazing what they're doing defensively right now. Amazing. So The Raiders were 7 of 14 on third down. They're just 13th in the league in third down defense, allowing opponents to convert 37.1% of the time. They held the Raiders to 1 of 3 in the red zone. They're 21st in the league in red zone defense, allowing opponents to score touchdowns 56.7% of the time. It's amazing that this defense that's been so good, it doesn't really succeed in those categories. The pass rush finished with 1 sack and 4 quarterback hits. McCole Hardman and Jerick McKinnon both did not play, thumb and groin injuries respectively. And they don't have a lot of weapons, so it'd be important to get them back, So Packers come in off of a rest advantage after their most impressive win of the season, 29-22 at Detroit on Thanksgiving. It's all about Jordan Love for me. He has found himself. He's composed. He's composed in the pocket. He's going to be a really good quarterback in this league, and he's going to have an opportunity to showcase himself up against the best in the sport. I just think that he is bet on. With Aaron Jones out due to the sprained MCL, A.J. Dillon ran 14 times for 43 yards, caught 3 for 38. He's been dealing with a groin injury. Both of them missed practice today. Jones is listed as questionable. Dillon is expected to be good to go. Christian Watson caught 5 passes for 94 yards. The Packers were 5 for 11 on third down. They keep climbing in that statistic. They're 7th in the league now, converting third downs 43.6% of the time. They're 3 of 4 in the red zone. That's a situation they've struggled at times this year, but you can tell that the offense has just changed. They're 21st scoring touchdowns, 50% of their red zone opportunities. Rashawn Gary was incredible. I mean, he forced 2 fumbles, recovered 1 of them, 3 sacks, 7 tackles, and he's a Michigan guy, and that's where he tore his knee ligament last season. He was magic. And he was crying after the game, like he's just the guy. He's a special player, and the Packers are putting something together here. They got 12 hits on Goff. 12. Now, Rashawn Gary had all their sacks, but 12 hits on Goff. The Lions did put up 464 total yards, but they were behind, and it's 7 of 15 on third down. Packers defense 22nd in the league, allowing opponents to convert 39.9% third down opportunities. Lions were 3 of 4 in the red zone. The Packers red zone defense very good, 8th in the league. And this Packers defense is just going to get better as the season goes on because it's going to get healthier. Jair Alexander, the previous week's leading receiver, Dontavian Wicks, and Rudy Ford all practiced today. They're all going to be in the line. Well, we expect them to. Not only that, but Eric Stokes practiced. So they've designated him to return off of injured reserve. So now that might not be this week because we just saw that with Rudy Ford. We saw it with Darnell Savage. Darnell Savage was practicing and didn't play this week. So Darnell Savage is going to play, we think. So that's possible that Jair Alexander, Rudy Ford, Eric Stokes, and Darnell Savage will all be on defense for the Packers. When that information comes out, I imagine this moves past that important number of 5.5. And I know this is the jumping off the page, and those don't work out well for me. But this morning I was like, no, I have to bet it. I need this in my pocket. If this doesn't go to 5.5 or even 6 across the board, if this goes to 7, I'll buy out of it. If I feel nervous about it, I don't care, I'll buy out of it. But at this point right now, I felt like I had to have it in my pocket. Troy, take it away. The Sunday nighter, Chiefs-Packers.
This game was one of my first bets. It's very easy for me. Primetime game. Home team's a dog. Been preaching about this spot. It's 28-6 to the under. I'm 8-1 betting this spot this season. And my only loss, actually, I don't even know if I bet that one. Did we bet the Chiefs-Jets under? Yes, I did bet it. Chiefs-Jets under. One of those losses, 28-6 to the under. One of those unders, one of those totals that went over was the Chiefs at Jets. And we all know Zach Wilson had an out-of-body experience that game. And it was very obvious that he had to come back down to earth. But yeah, he had an out-of-body experience to get that over the total. But I just love the under, all the trends, everything. Primetime game, home team's a dog, 28-6 to the under. And if the spread is between 3 and 7, 12-1 to the under. The total moves to the under, 16-3 to the under. I expect about 35 total points in this game. I didn't bet the most recent spot, which was the Ravens-Chargers. Chargers with a home team dog, primetime game. I had it in my SGP. I didn't straight bet it. I regret it. This is going to be an auto bet for me. Every time I see this spot, I'll be betting it. I think stylistically, both teams play to the under. non-explosive offenses. Packers are 1-4 to the under as a home team. They're much better against the pass than they are against the run, which is favorable when you're playing the Chiefs. And I've been saying that the Chiefs offense and defense is league average. I'm going to have to rescind that statement now because I think what I've seen out of the Chiefs defense, I was incorrect. I think I just needed to see them play a couple more games, be tested by some more explosive offenses, and they passed all the tests. And they grade out that way as well. So it's not only the eye test, they're grading out that way. But I think for this offense to get back to what we usually see with this Chiefs team, we need to see Rashee Rice elevate his game to an elite level, to an all-pro type of competency. And I don't know if we're going to see that. I still have my reservations about this Chiefs offense, which even makes me like this under even more. And, like I said earlier, I got to figure out how to build totals into my model so I have a much better read, because I've been so profitable with totals this season. It's blowing my mind. 32 bets. I have a 36% ROI on totals, and I'm 8-1 betting this exact spot. Primetime game, home team's a dog, bet the under. And that's what I'm doing. And I agree with you on the side. I totally agree. Let me see that line drop under that 5.5. I'll be glad to take the Packers on the spread and on the money line.
Sammy Culmer and Spenny Pennybaum think Kansas City's going to roll. That makes me very uncomfortable and nervous to be on the other side of them. But look, did you hear those names that are going to be back on the Packers defense this week? I mean, good God. They are, I guess I don't care what their defense did. And their defense looked really good against the Lions. This is all about watching Jordan Love. I was watching him in the pocket. I couldn't believe my eyes. He was so composed. So this is his opportunity. This is his opportunity to show out against the great Mahomes. I think he can keep this game close. And I think your under is a really nice spot. Bertie asked if I could go over I didn't do money line, but he wanted me to do money line as well, but go over everything here for this game again in the cash flow markets. So right now, 57% of the tickets, 56% of the cash on the Packers, 70% of the tickets and 55% of the cash on the under, and 96% of the tickets and 90% of the cash on the Chiefs money line. Spenny says, love is fool's gold. Don't get sucked in. Yeah, I got sucked in. It was just him in the pocket. His faith in himself now in the pocket. Look, I'm interested in your under here at this point. This total has climbed. I guess it hasn't. No, I take that back. Why is my bookie at 42.5? They opened it at 42.5, dropped it to 42. They're back at 42.5. I guess these Will Hill, all the other books have dropped it back to 42 and 365. What do they have it at here? Quickly to see if they have it at that hook might be helpful.
You can get 42.5 at FanDuel right now. I know that. That's where I got it. It's still up. It's down to 42 everywhere else at all the public books.
All right. This is our Sunday nighter. It's going to be so much fun, man. Be right here at Pub Sports Radio. It's going to be so much fun. All right. The under sounds appealing. I'm already on the Packers plus 6.5. We shall see. We move on to our Monday nighter. The Monday nighter is next, 8:15 p.m. Eastern. Cincinnati Bengals 5-6, 2-3 on the road at Jacksonville Jaguars 8-3, 3-3 at home. Everbank Stadium in Jacksonville, Florida. I also have SGPs set up for both these games. They're just $100 rec bets, and I'm not going to tweet them out, but I'm going to give them out and bet them, and we'll go through it on the show. I don't know if you know, Troy. I did cash a halftime SGP. In the last game. I
did not know that.
Yeah,
you gave that out yesterday on the show?
Yeah. I gave out cash. It was important too because I was on a bad run and cashed a little halftime.
Oh my God! my SGP yesterday finished with Ty Chandler, and that went up into flames. And the fucking crazy part is I loved all the running backs receiving yards, and I took Ty Chandler because of recency bias.
My angle on Madison was right. There's a guy that's going to take his job after his best game of the year. So, right. He allowed a fumble. You don't think that's going to drive him? Yep. I love the psychological side of things. I was like, look, Madison is going to be the best running back on the Vikings. And I was like,
Was.
watch, because someone's going
Absolutely.
to take his job, and his name's Ty Chandler. All right, so let's roll on to this one, 8:15 p.m. Eastern. Cincinnati Bengals at Jacksonville Jaguars. I mean, in my SGP in that game, sorry to go back to it, was plus 650. It was Bears plus 3.5 cashed. It was Fields over 52.5 cashed. It was Madison over 44.5 cashed. But I had it with the Bears team total, which I even lowered. I couldn't get there. Unbelievable. Bengals, Jaguars. That was the pregame, but cashed the halftime one. Everbank Stadium, Jacksonville, Florida. We have 68 Fahrenheit, mostly cloudy, 8 miles per hour here. Imagine the game we would have had here. Imagine this game. It would have been phenomenal. We would have all been so excited about it. Instead, it's Jake Browning at quarterback for the Cincinnati Bengals. We have the Jags at minus 7.5. That's where they opened. It's funny because my bookies moved this to 9. My bookie moved this to 9. It's been a 9 for a while. But the other books haven't followed suit. There are some 8s out there, and there's some 8.5s at Bet Online. So this market's all over the place here. From a total side of things, we have sitting at 38, very low. This opened up at 41 and has dropped 3 points to 38. Cash flow wise here, we have 80% of the tickets, 85% of the cash on the Jaguars, 97% of tickets on the under, no cash flow at this point. The Bengals coming off that ugly 16-10 loss at home to the Steelers. First full game without Joe Burrow. They were outgained badly, 421 to 222. Browning 19 to 26 for 227 yards, touchdown and a pick. Jamar Chase got 4 for 81. Joe Mixon again could do nothing on the ground. It's rough. I remember last year he was doing nothing at all. Nothing at all. And I was like, oh, he's washed. He's done. Then he had that 5 touchdown game. Well, it's the same situation. He's doing nothing at all. Nothing at all. He ran 8 times for 16 yards. He did catch a couple passes for 40 yards, but 8 carries for 16 yards. The offense was 2 of 10 on third down, 1 of 2 in the red zone. They're going to have a very difficult time scoring moving forward. The defense bent but didn't break, tried to keep the Bengals in it, held the Steelers to 1 of 4 in the red zone. They're 10th in the league, allowing touchdowns 51.2% of the time. They allowed the Steelers to go 8 of 17 on third down. They've struggled on third down all year. They allow opponents to convert 44.2% of third down opportunities. Pass rush finished with 2 sacks, 4 quarterback hits. Jags come in off and they had Hubbard back now, so they have Hubbard and Hendrickson, the defense trying their best. Jaguars coming up that tough 24-21 road victory at Houston. And it turned out to be costly. Left tackle Cam Robinson left with a knee injury in the first quarter. He's going to be out for 3 to 6 weeks. I mean, it's not season ending, but that's going to hurt their offensive line. They've handled injuries quite well on the offensive line this year. Trevor Lawrence was 23 of 38 for 364 yards, touchdown and a pick. Calvin Ridley caught 5 for 89. Kirk caught 4 for 89. Travis Etienne ran 20 times for 56 yards, caught 4 for 30. They were 7 of 13 on third down. They're just 22nd in the league converting third downs. This offense that we think is so dangerous, 22nd in the league on third down, 24th in the league on the red zone. They have a defense that steps up for them. They're 3rd in third down defense. They allow conversions just 35% of the time. They got a great pass rush against the Texans. As a group, 4 sacks, 7 quarterback hits. But, of course, it was Josh Allen leading the way. 2.5 sacks, 4 quarterback hits. They allowed the Texans to go 3 of 3 in the red zone. That's a rarity. They're really good red zone defense, 12th in the league, allowing opponents to score touchdowns 51.4% of the time. Here we go. The Monday Nighter. I have like a rec SGP set up here. Obviously, I can't move on it yet because we need some of the player props and stuff to come out. But I don't know how to move on this on the side. I get, if this was offered at a 41 right now, I would move on the under. But that 3-point move makes sense, and I'm late to the party there. Take it away for us here, Troy. Monday Nighter. Bengals, Jags.
I got to go back and watch more of that Bengals Steelers game. I just can't see the Bengals performing well in this, work on this game. I haven't done enough. But these 7.5s are kind of dangerous. I've seen a couple teams go down in flames with that. It's at this number. But this Monday night game, I like to sit on it. I'm 4-1 ATS last 5. Bears, Eagles, Chargers, Lions all got the cash for me. And people say that, most pros will tell you that it's terrible to bet into a fully developed market. And I don't understand it completely, because it's when you have the most information is when you're the most dangerous. Would you rather take a test with less or more information? Probably the Jags on a teaser, but that's pretty damn square. And my squareness went up in flames with the Lions teasers last week. I don't have anything on this game. I really can't add any value.
Yeah, I know my plan here from a fun perspective for a Monday nighter. I'll have the SGP ready to go, and I plan to see if I can get in on a live under. So hope there's an early touchdown, and then try to get underneath it will be my plan. This Monday nighter sucks, man. It was going to be incredible. It was going to have all the makings for this spectacular football game. Burrow, Lawrence. But instead, we're going to have a lot of liquor. Make sure I have a lot of liquor. I mean, running low on the Mondays after getting destroyed on the Sundays. So I'm going to make sure that doesn't happen here, because this will be a long one to watch. That is our show for today. Troy's added some action, Troy. So why don't you go over your action here? And I'm just going to go over some leans, because all my action is already being bet. This is one of the rare, because I bet the 2 bets during the show, and they're all on the early card. I'm on the Packers plus 6.5. Then I doubled up on the Thursday night over, going up against the primetime unders head on. I'm on the first half over 23, full game over 46 in Seattle, Dallas. I'm on the Chargers, Patriots under 40.5. I'm on the Lions double up, first half -2.5, full game -4. Then I moved on the Titans money line in Indy, Tennessee under 43. And then the only thing that I really got talked off of was the Falcons. And I'm okay with that. So at this point, I'm not adding anything out. I'll kind of clean it up, because I was tweeting them out as I bet them today. So I'll put out a tweet with just my action as one here, but I don't see adding anything at this point. Take it away, Troy. What is your action for this week?
So I have a Cowboys Lions money line parlay. I got Pats versus Chargers under 40.5, Packers versus Chiefs under 42.5, Browns plus 3.5, Titans money line. And I have a few plays that I haven't added yet, which is Titans Colts under, Cardinals. I'm looking at, I wanted to bet that during the show. I went and looked, and I was like, this could start moving back the other direction. At least that's the way it was currently heading. So I'm just waiting on the Cardinals game. I do plan on moving on it if it's going to be a hard 4. As long as we're under that 5.5, I'll be happy with it. Considering the Panthers plus 5.5 and the Packers plus 6.5. So those are my leans. But yeah, so far I got 5 official plays, and I'll definitely have a lot more.
Yeah, the Falcons I'm okay with getting off of for now. The over in Cardinals Steelers I'm very interested in, but I won't bet that tonight. And that's it. The afternoon games became somewhat boring. I'm in all 3 of my survivor pools still. So there could be, there's a lot on the line. But there always is. Shout out to all the cappers rolling with us. Al Cervic, Harold Williams, Mac Beavers, Jared TG, Sammy Calmer, Doug, Birdie, Slatsy. Great group, man. Thank you guys for rolling. Gold 44, Terry Walker, Spenny Pennybomb, Sammy Culmer. Great group. Thank you guys. A lot of work is put into this, and there's so much on the line for us to succeed. And I'm really excited about this week. But I got the double up on Thursday to get the week started, and then see how things bang out on the 1 o'clock slate. I don't have much more than that, man. I don't have much more than that. Troy, do you have any last words, my man, for the Capper Sport in the show?
This was a fun show. I feel like I've uncovered a lot of things. I'm going to be moving on a lot more games here throughout the week. Just keep in touch. Check me out on Twitter. I post a lot of information over there as the week goes on and progresses, and these markets fully develop. I post a lot from the database, which I'm very excited about and believe in immensely. And it's just a blessing to be up here with you, Jimmy, with everyone in the chat. You guys are great, man. It's a blessing.
Every week is the most important week, but it's real here for me. Back-to-back losing weeks, and it's too much on the line, man. Can't go out like this, man. Let's get that cash. Thank you so much to Jose Bouquet for all the hard work behind the scenes, and all the hard work he puts into our videos. We'll be back in action tomorrow, betting with the bag. We started with NHL. Then we have both DJ, Big Boss, and the Big Ragu joining us. The Boss and the Sauce joining us for a breakdown of all of the college football conference championships. Then we have Dabby Cab, and after Dabby Cab, Mikey M, both giving us their best bets in college basketball. And then we close with Dutch Boy Fresh in NBA. Thank you guys so much for your support. We can't do it without you guys. Thank you. It truly means the world. Now let's go out there and succeed. Let's go out there and get that fucking cash, man. Leche. Hey, Los